What up, what up, what up? A2HH Live. How's it going? I think I just froze up. Happy King Holiday to everybody. Coop, how you doing? Let me fix this real quick.
Yeah, long live the king. I am I'm fortunate enough, Mike, that I actually work, during the week and weekends right around the corner from Dr. King's house that he grew up in. Um it's a pleasure and an honor to be from Atlanta on a day like this. He is one of the greatest men who ever walked this earth, Mike.
Straight up and down.
Straight up and down. Like not just this nation, but of all the men who have walked the earth in the history of mankind, he is one of the greatest men to ever walk this earth.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
his history has been remixed in many different facets, and it's one of those legacies. And I'm fixing the camera and everything. Salute to the chat. It's one of those legacies that the more you find out about the man and what he was really about, the more impressed you are. You know, if you just your depth of knowledge of Dr. King and his legacy is based on what you see from mainstream media and mainstream historical publications, it's impressive. But if you delve even deeper, it's even more impressive. So, salute to him.
Yes.
And I'm gonna make sure this camera thing is situated so we can really go on a real show. But yeah, salute to him, and do the work on your day off. What do they say? Take a day on, not a day off.
Correct. A lot of his nonviolent philosophy and teachings come from Gandhi. People need to know that. So Dr. King was an avid reader and a historian, and Gandhi was probably his biggest inspiration. And people need to understand he just wasn't an advocate for Black people. And I don't say this too often. He was very much like Jesus in the sense that he was an advocate for those who had been disenfranchised.
Yes, and I think it's important.
It wasn't just about Black people. It was just he seen what was going on with his people, much like Gandhi seen what was going on with his people, and wanted to do something about it. But he was about the disenfranchised.
Yeah, and I think it's important for people to know too that in the end of his life, economically, he was trying to get Black Americans repaid and right economically because he saw the hardships that were, residuals from slavery, Reconstruction, and redlining, and everything after it. And I wish that many of the people who were on those trails with him carried on that fight after his life as well. But I think that's something that our generation or the generation after can actually pick up on, where for whatever reason they weren't able to carry the baton on. But I think it is important to know everything about the man and what he was about. And he didn't even make it to his 40s, so I'm sure there were a lot of things that he was gearing up to do, and a lot of things that maybe he felt like there were some missteps. I mean, he even said it himself in one of his final interviews that he felt like he led Black people to a burning house.
There's some truth to that.
And so I think that a lot of times, we need to factor in that, the March on Washington was 63, and the I Have a Dream speech was 63. He didn't get assassinated till, what was it, 68?
Correct.
And, so there were a lot of things that he spoke about in 68 that he was like, you know what, there were some missteps here. A lot of these things worked. Some of these things didn't work. And I don't think that full spectrum is told, after his life. But I would encourage people to just look at the whole scope and not just a few pieces.
Yes, I think one thing that gets lost in translation about the history of the man, he had a great sense of humor, Mike.
Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah.
He was actually a very funny guy. Not to be, my ex-fiance is actually like, his second cousin, like part of that family line.
Oh, cool.
She used to tell me stories from time to time that had been passed down through the family. He's a funny guy. I think also people forget this was a man who was in his 30s when he died.
Yeah.
And so you have to understand, for as brilliant and as beautiful and as legendary as he was, I don't even think we got to see the best version of him and what
Right.
he could have done. Because I look at myself, like right now, Mike, the 42-year-old version of me is the best version of me by far. But that's
Mm.
because I've had the opportunity to live life, make mistakes, hold myself accountable for those mistakes, and I see the full picture now. Like the reason that I say, like, and I changed all my social media posts to all the things is because I see all the things now too, Mike.
Mm.
Because I'm older, I'm wiser. I've been through the trials and tribulations as a black man. Like,
Yeah.
I hate to say it, like a lot of us as black men, we don't make it into our 40s like healthy and whole and happy. And so just imagine what he would have been had he made it to our ages.
Yeah. It's amazing to even think someone that accomplished and who changed the
Yes.
world in the way that he didn't make it to his 40s. And I apologize for the technical issues here, but I'm trying to fix this real quick. I don't want that to interrupt this very important conversation that we're having.
Well, Mike, me being the only person on the screen is
Uh-huh.
reminding me that you need to change my Twitter handle because my Twitter handle is at all the things.
Oh, yeah, let's do that right now. Let's
Yeah,
yeah, we can do that live on air. Let's
yeah.
see.
It looks
Twitter
like your
handle.
camera has come back into play though. So
Yeah, it did. Let's see. I got it right here. We're gonna edit this right here. Live television right here. So, all right, what's the handle again?
it's just all the things.
Okay.
Capital A, capital T, all the things.
All right, all the things.
Yeah.
And
Happy King Day. My job, what I like to call my day job now, even though I work at night a lot, but my day job actually did the breakfast at Ebenezer Baptist Church today.
how'd that go?
You want the truth?
Yeah.
My boss was pissed off because niggas didn't show up. They said they were showing up. I wasn't one of those people.
Oh, you're talking about staff wise or the public?
Staff wise, the public's never a problem at Ebenezer Baptist Church.
Gotcha. Yeah. Mad Max with the super chat says, we gonna win next year. Okay, well we can start with some sports
Mad
talk.
Max, shut up.
When Mad Max says we, is he talking about the
He's
Cowboys?
a Cowboys fan.
Oh,
Yeah, Mad
come
Max is a
on,
Cowboys
guys.
fan. You didn't know? Well, Mike,
I'm not surprised, but
I hate to do this on Dr. King Day,
mm-hmm.
but I'm going to have to choose violence on the Cowboys, Mike.
Well, go ahead. We're gonna start off with some NFL playoffs, and congratulations to the Detroit Lions. Eminem was in the building watching his Lions win their first playoff game in 32 years.
Well, Mike, I'd like to give a little history lesson since it's Dr. King Day.
Okay.
If you grew up in South Carolina and North Carolina, Mike, you didn't grow up watching the Falcons because back then the Falcons were part of the NFC West. And in South Carolina and North Carolina, they really didn't broadcast NFC West games unless the 49ers were playing because they were the dominant team in the league for a lot of that time and in the division. Definitely in the division. So if you grew up in South Carolina and North Carolina, you grew up watching NFC East football. My grandfather was a fan of the Washington team. And although he was 1/3 Cherokee, I never quite understood that. I asked him one time, he was like, it's football. Stop taking it so serious. I was like, okay.
Right.
I was like, you're the Indian, not me, but whatever. My older cousin Six and his and his brother Vici, they were Giants fans because they were big Dave Meggett and Lawrence Taylor fans. I was a Philadelphia Eagles fan, Mike. Cunningham, Keith Byers, Keith Jackson, Viseka Hema, Eric Allen, Andre Waters, Reggie White, Jerome Brown, Clyde Simmons, Seth Joyner. Still remember the whole team. It's one of the most talented teams to never make it to a Super Bowl. But most people in South Carolina and North Carolina, Mike, guess what? Cowboys. Fans. And it's so sad. So the young lady who I work with, it's so sad. It's sad. It's tragic. It's tragedy and a travesty, just like Jay-Z's verse. So I work with a young lady from South Carolina. Shout out to Symphony. Symphony actually follows our pod and watches our show.
Shout out to Symphony.
Symphony's from South Carolina. She's a big Cowboys fan, Mike. She is coming. She's working a double yesterday for us. God bless her because we're short-staffed right now. And she come back in from her break, Mike. She sits right at the bar. Let's go. Let's go, Cowboys. I just tapped Symphony on the shoulder. I said, hey, stop doing that. I said, the Cowboys are about the cowboy. She's like, this our year, Armand.
Every year is
I
their
looked at I
year.
looked at I looked at this young lady with a straight face, and I want you to understand her cousin is one of the more famous professional fighters in MMA. She can send somebody to whoop my ass officially, Mike, who can really whoop my ass. I'm not gonna say who his name is, but I looked at her and I said, "That's not gonna happen." I said because they're the Cowboy Symphony, and they're gonna blow this like they blow everything else, Mike.
Now I will say
We
this, and I do agree with that. And every year, Cowboys fans say it's our year, blah blah blah, and and the inevitable always happens. But I will say this: this Cowboy team is one of the better Cowboy teams I've seen in a minute. So if a Cowboy fan felt that way this time, I understand it more. But yeah, it usually happens every year, where no matter
No,
what
Mike,
their
I want to
team looks
unpack
like, it's
that. No,
their
they're
year.
not good. I haven't talked about them all season because I was just waiting for this day. And now that this day is here, we need to talk about it. First of all, Mike, just real quick, a lot of people feel like, and I don't know where this happened, but a lot of people feel like Kyle Shanahan was the coach of the Falcons for 28-3, and that's not true. Kyle
Yeah.
Shanahan was the offensive coordinator. Mike, would you like to tell people who the head coach was when it was 28-3 in the Super Bowl for the Atlanta Falcons?
It was Quinn, right?
It was Dan Quinn.
Yeah,
Mike, who was Dallas's defensive coordinator?
yeah,
Huh?
yeah. Dan Quinn.
Mike, people think Mike McCarthy's a good coach. Mike, do you know the quarterbacks that Mike McCarthy had in Green Bay?
Go for it.
He had Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers, Mike. Mike McCarthy had two of the 10 greatest quarterbacks of all time in succession and only has one Super Bowl to show for it. Those gentlemen won 7 MVP awards between the three of them in their time in Green Bay. And I believe 5 of those MVP awards came on Mike McCarthy's watch.
You're right.
This is ridiculous.
Oh, let me go to the
Mike,
super chats real quick.
No, Mike, I'm not done.
You're not
Hold on
done?
1 second. For all you Cowboys fans, your team sucks and they feast on poor competition. Your team sucks. Your coaches suck. Your quarterback's soft as tissue, soft as bread. He's soft. They need some toughening up. Mike, quote the Migos, they need some straightening, Mike. They need some straightening.
I know you were waiting for this moment for the Cowboys fans.
I've been waiting all year. I've been quiet all year. I was like, I'm just going to wait. Beating the Giants don't mean shit. Beating the punk-ass Commanders don't mean anything. Beating the Eagles team falling apart don't mean anything. Every time you play a real team, you get your ass whooped. You see how Kansas City whooped Miami's ass? Miami damn sure beat the Cowboys, didn't they?
Miami
They
was a
just got
really
their
good team,
ass
too.
whooped.
The playoffs is different.
Yeah, playoffs is different. They soft as hell, Mike. And listen, the only thing that can save them is somebody like Bill Belichick, Mike. That's who they
I hear
need.
Bill Belichick's coming to Atlanta, allegedly.
Mike, why would he do that when he can go to Dallas?
Joe Young with the super chat says, "What's up,
Ridiculous.
A2HH? Salute to Dr. Mike King. I guess he meant Dr. King. You see that they're going at Umar for Eminem, saying that he can't be the GOAT. They're coming at him. You was right. We'll
Your
talk
team
about.
sucks. All you Cowboys fans, your team
I want
sucks.
to talk about that a little bit today too. Mad Max with the super chat says, "Nah, we got cooked, but we got to try next year." Sure,
It was 27-0. It was 48-16 with 6 minutes left. Shut up. Your team sucks.
James Smith with the super chat says, "We as a people, we get to the promised land. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man." Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Great quote. Great quote.
The Cowboys have nothing to fear but the Cowboys themselves. Coop.
Andrew Williams with the super
2024.
chat says, "I think that Dak is the worst superstar quarterback ever." Is Dak a superstar?
Who said he was a superstar?
I
Stop
think
that. This is what I'm
Dallas
talking
said
about.
that.
Superstar.
You know what?
Who? Super what?
Why do you think that? I mean, we know why Cowboy fans are Cowboy fans because of the accessibility of that team and
Team
its
sucks.
televised games over a long duration of time. Why do you think that the Cowboys continuously get promoted like they're an elite organization when, in all actuality, respectfully, they haven't done elite things in 25 plus years. At what
Because
point do we let it go?
Because Jerry Jones could sell ice to a motherfucking Eskimo, Mike. That's
Yeah.
why.
Yeah. I mean, are there any other organizations like this in sports where it's like they haven't won in 25 some odd years, longer than that, and they're like a number one draw? Is that kind of like, I think the New York Knicks might be the closest to that, but the Knicks don't get blown up like the Cowboys do. People act like the Cowboys are a contender every year, and there's nothing to really tell us that they really are.
See, Knicks fans don't have themselves confused. They know their team's not going anywhere, Mike.
Yeah.
Like, they know. They're honest about the fact their team's not going anywhere, Mike. Their team's not going anywhere this year. They're going home same way the Knicks go home every year.
Yeah.
But with the Cowboys, like Symphony at the bar pounding her fist. I want you to understand this is a small, slim, young black lady. This our year. Let's go, No, stop that.
Yeah, he I don't want to say he.
Stop all that.
The media has hyped people up into believing that the Cowboys are a contender every single year, and I think it's remarkable, to be honest with you.
Mike, Symphony is probably the quietest person at our job. She barely says a word when she's working. She's soft-spoken, has a soft voice, never said a word. When she pounded the bar and said, "Let's go Cowboys," I said, "Who the hell is that?"
Reggie with the super chat says, Eric Jamal's AYO verse is verse of the year contender? Question mark. Got to check it out. DJ Tim Space King with the super chat says, Diggable Planet's Blowout Comb is my album. Ninth Wonder song, Ladybug killed it. I would love if Lauren did a song in the 90s with them. You know, I love that song, Ninth Wonder. I always have. That beat was crazy. And then when she came in there, dripping like water. You got it. I want him. Yeah, her verse on there is sick. I love Ladybug Mecca, man. She was something different. I love the whole group. You got Diggable Planets on your top beats list, too, I saw. Roberta Slick was like the first one you mentioned.
You're damn right.
And that's a good one. That's a good one. Dot with the super chat says, Coop, would Cam lead his team to a Super Bowl?
This team, you mean? The Cowboys team?
Yeah, he said this team, yeah.
Okay, so I think people need to put respect on Cam's name. Okay, when Auburn won the national championship, do you know how many players got drafted other than Cam?
Cam is the best college football player I've ever seen.
None, Mike. Not one player from that national championship team got drafted except Cam.
And beat Alabama.
Hell yeah, Cam could lead this team to a Super Bowl because they actually have players on there. They just have a terrible head coach, a terrible defensive coordinator, and a soft-ass quarterback, Mike.
Yeah, Cam.
Speaking of soft-ass quarterbacks, Mike.
We're talking about Cam in his prime, right?
Huh?
We're talking about Cam in his prime, right?
Yeah. Cam from the moment he was drafted to 2016, 2017, before the injuries started piling up, would lead this team to a Super Bowl.
You want to talk about somebody who's gotten an unfair shake throughout his career I thought they did Vince Young wrong. The way Cam's being treated is insane.
Wild. He has better numbers than Elway did through the same stretch amount of games and tenure in his career.
You know, it's one of those things, and I think I've said this on the show before. You got Cam, you got Melo, you got Iverson.
Yep.
These guys have been treated in the latter parts of their career like they can no longer play, like they have no value to an organization with their skill set, their experience, and just knowledge of the game. And they've been alpha athletes their whole lives, and they find a way, the organizations they find a way to use that against them, as opposed to honing in on that where it could actually help an organization. Yeah, Allen Iverson should question why he's coming off the bench. If got somebody who doesn't have anywhere near the skill set or experience that he has, don't sit here and make it seem like he's tripping or he's a bad teammate because he's questioning not being a starter in this league. You know what I'm saying? They did the same thing to Melo, and they're doing the same thing to Cam. You're telling me that Cam is supposed to concede that he can't beat somebody out for a job? He's been an MVP in this league, and he's been to the Super Bowl, something that many of the starters could never say that they've done.
Like Dak Prescott, you mean?
Yeah. And you know what I'm saying? And the way they spin it on him, like, oh, well, he has an
Like Tua?
attitude problem.
Like Tua? You
Yeah.
mean? Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Like Josh Allen? Like Lamar Jackson?
And I know,
Like
you know
Justin
what?
Herbert?
Dwight Howard has his issues off the court, and those don't have anything to do with on court. But they're doing Dwight Howard like that too. It's insane. Like, he could clearly still play.
Mike, the Patriots gave Mac Jones the starting job over Cam Newton. Now, how the fuck does that look now?
Right.
Because that's what really got Bill Belichick up out of there.
It is. Web Visibility with the Super Chat says, do you guys think that we could see Harbaugh or Belichick coaching the Cowboys next year? I'm going to be honest, guys. I'm going to be honest, guys.
They need to hire Bill Belichick because that team needs its ass whooped, Mike. See, ass whoopings isn't about just whooping ass. It's about who needs to have their ass whooped. Not all discipline work the same. That team is soft as hell when it matters. They need that ass whooped. They have players. They need that ass whoop. Because I'm going to tell you what, you're not scoring 48 points on a Bill Belichick team in the playoffs at home. You're not.
You would hope not, right?
No, you're not. I'm telling you, you're not. He's not having it.
This is what I'm going to say, man. And I say this respectfully to all the Cowboy fans out there. Like, I don't really care about the Cowboys. They're not a factor. You know what I'm saying? Like, we need to put them in the boat that we put other teams that are one and dones in the playoffs who don't make the playoffs. Like, until they show us something more, there's really nothing to talk about.
They soft as hell, Mike. They need their ass whooped.
I mean, the Atlanta Falcons have been to the Super Bowl before the Cowboys had.
The Carolina Panthers have played in 2 Super Bowls, and so have the Falcons. We just happen to lose those games, but we've made it.
So have Tampa Bay. Like, you got the worst division in football. All 4 of those teams have been to the Super Bowl since the Cowboys have.
And the Saints are the only ones that haven't gone multiple times. Tampa Bay's been twice and won both of their Super Bowl. Atlanta and Carolina have been 2 times and lost both of their Super Bowls.
I mean, what is there to talk about? Let's look at the Cowboys division.
Nothing to talk about.
Let's look at the Cowboys division. I mean, come on.
Yeah. The Eagles have made it to like 3 Super Bowls.
Yeah. The Giants
have won 2.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. Eagles went to 2 and won 1.
Yeah.
They got beat by Tom Brady, and then they got beat by Belichick making stupid defensive decisions.
The Giants beat the Patriots twice.
It's ridiculous.
Now, of course, the Redskins or whatnot are the Commanders, but that's whatever. But even in their own division, they haven't been accomplished. So why are we talking about this team? But on to teams that are a factor. What did you think about NFL playoffs this week outside of, the Cowboys?
So outside of the Cowboys, cowboying. You know how I be cooping? They be cowboying, okay?
Mm-hmm. No, somebody said the Cowboys are the Andre 3000 of sports. Like,
y'all not gonna clown Andre on Dr. King Day, okay?
I understand the correlation. It's like, why are we talking about them?
Possibly.
Yeah.
Be kind.
Yes, but no, that was fun.
My other takeaway from the weekend, Mike, was CJ Stroud. My home team, this is going to go down as one of the worst draft decisions ever, and I don't care how Bryce Young turns out. CJ Stroud is already a top 5 to 10 quarterback, Mike. He's the youngest rookie to win a playoff game. Before it was Michael Vick when he went to Green Bay and won. He's the youngest rookie to ever win a playoff game. A lot of people think that Cleveland had the best shot to beat Baltimore in the AFC. They waxed them, Mike. CJ Stroud is a brilliant young quarterback. And the Carolina Panthers had the first pick in the draft, and they picked a quarterback that's about the same height and the same weight as I am, which means that you don't have a quarterback if you don't have an offensive line, weapons, and quite frankly, life insurance. Because men my size and my weight playing quarterback don't last in the NFL.
Houston looked really good, and I mean, I was watching the game. It was
Worst organization in football.
It was. Hey, you talking about Carolina, right?
They're the worst organization in football. We have the worst general manager. We have the worst general manager in football. I'm glad they fired his ass. But more than anything else, we have the worst owner in football.
Houston looked really good.
He sucks. He's the worst. He might be the worst owner in professional sports. He knows shit about football. Boycott all my people in Charlotte. Boycott that team until that motherfucker sells the team. He sucks.
Cool. You're getting real personal with the Panthers.
The only thing worse than the Cowboys, Mike, is the Carolina Panthers ownership.
You're getting real personal with Carolina. They're not a factor. Hopefully they'll do better, but I want to talk about Houston.
Not with him as the owner. They won't do better with him as the owner.
Let's talk about Houston. How far do you think Houston will go? Because they look really good. And the defense they were on Cleveland's ass.
They bust Cleveland's ass.
Yeah.
Mike, the only ass whooping that was worse than the ass whooping C.J. Stroud hanging out was the ass whooping the Cowboys just took. It was 48-16 with 6.5 minutes left. Got your ass whooped.
Web Visibility with the Super Chat says, think about it. The last time the Cowboys were in the AFC Championship game, Illmatic was released. Damn. Well, on that note, I think we can go to the next topic. We can go to the next topic on that note. Okay, today we're going to cover a few things, man. Do you want to start with this Mos Def saying Drake's not hip hop, he's more pop? Or do you want to start with Benny the Butcher on the Breakfast Club talking about, unprofessional opinions?
First of all, you're not talking about me. I know how to rap.
My opinion. I guess we're going to start there, huh?
My opinions are brilliant, and I know how to rap. So the nigga ain't talking about me, but let's go.
Okay, well, let's talk about it. So Benny the Butcher got on the Breakfast Club to promote his upcoming album, which we did get some information about. LT texted me earlier, and he told me he texted you as well. He texted me too. Yeah, he told me he texted you as well. So we'll talk about that. But he got on the Breakfast Club and said that they talked about critics, and I think that was one of the questions Charlamagne asked him about people. He asked him about the statement that Benny made a while back when he said that, people need to focus on the music as opposed to, critiquing first. And when he said something along the lines of people review an album, when it comes out, you got to give it time to breathe and stuff. I thought about the format of our show. And one of the things that stuck out to me is he said that, he respects professional opinions and not the unprofessional opinions. And it kind of made me think like, okay, well, when it comes to sports, can we not talk about sports because we don't work for ESPN? Like, we all talk about sports. We all talk about music. That's what this whole thing is about. That's what Barbershop Talk and all that stuff is about. And what is the professional opinion? Is the professional opinion what we saw last year with the Killer Mike album, where all of the people who work for major corporations were saying the same jargon in relation to that album and its dominance in 2023? Is it about those people, or is it about the people out here who are listening and who are in the chat and who are real, connoisseurs of the music and who are buying the merch for artists and going to the shows?
I mean, here's the reality of the matter. Griselda as a whole started out as a grassroots thing.
Yeah.
And I still think in a lot of ways it's still grassroots.
I do too.
And I think the deeper conversation is that why does Griselda keep running the media outlets consistently that don't support them the way that organizations like us have supported them? I think that's the real conversation. And so I'm super excited for this Benny album. I'm super excited to share this information that LT, decided to pass on us. Is coming directly from Benny's manager. Nice little inside scoop he's given according to hip hop, and it's much appreciated. But the reality of the matter is that this is it's a little deflecting going on and trying to pivot, because the real question in the conversation is that, well, why aren't you galvanizing with the organizations like ours that really galvanize you? Because here's the reality of the matter: the Breakfast Club not about to talk about Benny when Benny not there.
Yep.
They're not. Hot 97 is not going to talk about Benny and Conway and Westside unless they up there kicking a freestyle. And you want to know how we know, Mike? Because they don't.
They've said it. Star got on, went on Flex and questioned Flex about why they were playing Glorilla and not Griselda. And Flex said, well, they could come up here and spit a freestyle. And Star said, no, play their record. So no, it's been said. Like, that's not even just an observation.
What I'm saying,
that's
like,
been said.
Jesus Crisis should have been played on Hot 97.
Yeah.
The Braun record should be spinning right now. When I mean right now, I mean it's 12:42. The Braun record should be spinning in New York right now on every major station.
I tell you what, if Mike D and Coop had a radio show, they would be getting some play. But I don't know if they would come to Mike D and Coop's radio show to actually do an interview. And I don't even want to say I don't know. They wouldn't. I mean,
well, they wouldn't because they have it.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. It's like, so Fresh Out did a post. Shout out to Fresh Out. They did a post a few weeks ago about Che Noir, and I jumped in, and Che actually responded to a couple of my tweets until I talked about how I would love to have her on, and then she ghosted my ass.
It's interesting, right?
It's fascinating. It's like, so you'll talk to me for a minute on Twitter. I'll give you your props. I give Love all her props. I respect them. I'm an accurate rater and reviewer of music. In my personal opinion, I'm the best at it. Like, period. Like, whatever space or medium you're talking. I do feel like I'm currently the best reviewer. And I think I'm one of the better interviewers as well. And, I mean, it's not a personal thing because I'm used to them pulling this move. But the way she just stopped talking to me, as soon as I brought up the possibility of actually having a conversation with her, it was one of those things where it's like, don't y'all know who really feeding y'all and supporting y'all though?
It's
because it ain't the people that y'all keep. I mean, like, there's a reason that like you see how B-Dot played them and like Westside responded with it, right? You know what I mean?
Right.
But it's like, truthfully though, that's what you get for befriending his ass instead of people like us who are, quite frankly, more loyal to the soil and more loyal to your movement and really understand what you're trying to do.
We're about the music,
so,
you know what I mean?
Because here's the thing, like, all this pandering to those larger outlets hasn't yielded any platinum plaques, now has it?
That's the truth.
Because they don't really play or support your shit like they should.
Yeah, and they're not going to either.
And they're not going to.
But I don't even want to be like this all the way, because shout out to Jay Skis and shout out to Love the Genius who have sat down with us. And, those are people from that camp who jumped at the chance, and I'm honored the fact that they were on the ride that they're on and would love and wanted to share it with us. But it's one thing that, I ain't even tripping on not getting no interview or anything like that. That's cool, because at the end of the day, it's about you guys. I really wanted somebody from somebody who's on a run like they are to speak with the people. And it's about them speaking to you guys more so than it is about speaking to us, right? But the part that gets me is the fact that you're going to get on the most mainstream platform who really don't even talk about hip-hop music and kind of down the grassroots, whether they're talking about us or not. Could be talking about some of our contemporaries, who knows? But at the end of the day, you're talking about that grassroots fan base. And that right there is a problem. And you're getting on a platform with people who don't even speak to the people that take in your music. I don't understand it.
I think some people have what I'm saying in the chat confused. I'm not talking about me. I mean, if you want to know how I really feel at the end of the day, I don't care if none of them ever speak to me. I really don't care like that, Mike. Like, I'm not that guy. But what I'm speaking to is behavior. And the behavior that the crew displays is like, well, they'll go sit down with mainstream people who don't support their stuff instead of the grassroots who do. I don't give a shit if none of them ever come on according to hip hop or not. Personally, it don't really make me none or matter me none. I told you I'm in Atlanta anyway. I'm more concerned with building out our brand in Atlanta than I am in New York anyway, just on a personal level, because I like to walk around my own city and old neighborhoods that I've lived in and have that respect. And there's no New Yorker that's about to give me that shit or get that for me. So I don't need them down here at all. And according to hip hop doesn't need them, because outside of Love and Jay Skis, nobody from their campus ever came on. So they're not pushing, according to hip hop, forward. They're not pushing my agenda in Atlanta forward. I need them about as much as they need me. I'm speaking to the behavior.
Ohio
And the
K.
behavior is that you run to outlets that don't support you. And that's the part of it that I'm questioning. I'm still about to review the music fairly. Yeah. I'm super excited about the Che Noir and Love, the Genius project. I'm super excited about Benny's project, especially after this Braun shit, because this shit that Hit gave Benny is a banger, Mike.
It is.
That shit got bounce. It got vibe. His flow is stellar on here. I'm always going to give them their props. I'm speaking to the behavior. It's not about
It's about the music, man. All that other stuff, man. It, to me, circumventing your own fan base, it just doesn't make sense to me, is what I'm saying.
Right.
And when you know that there are platforms that are going to talk about you because the fans want us to talk about you, and we want to talk about what you're making as hip-hop fans ourselves, for you to kind of just skirt around that and those individuals, but almost, you know what I'm saying, go out your way to rock with people who don't rock with you, I just don't understand it.
I mean, I want to talk about people who are making great hip-hop music on this show.
Yeah.
And since we've been doing the show, they've been one of the main proponents of that. I would say short of the Nas and Hit Boy run, they have been the main proponents of quality hip-hop music being made.
Right.
And so I'm going to continue to talk about them, but it's something that's worth addressing just from, I mean, Mike, there's something psychological about it. It's like how, you know, some people want what's not being given to them. Right. Instead of accepting what's in front of them already.
Ohio K with the super chat says, a healthy Browns team makes it how far next year? I think the Browns have potential, and they have a lot of injuries. They look better with
Joe Flacco than Deshaun Watson. So what do you mean by healthy? Yeah. You talking about Nick Chubb?
Yeah.
Because I love Nick. Nick wasn't stopping that ass whooping yesterday.
No.
And I haven't seen this, and I haven't seen the real Deshaun Watson since he was actually in Houston.
Yeah. Reggie with the super chat says, Benny took shots at Coop in his King Joffrey Joe robe. Huh.
I like my robe. I'm at home. Very comfortable.
LP with the super chat says, Griselda be killing ops on record, but be crying about fans on SM. Then defend the media that's not showing them love. They have Stockholm syndrome. Dot with the super chat says Griselda can't even go gold. Well, listen.
No, see, this is what I'm saying. I think they could if they played more to their actual market. That's what makes the conversation fascinating.
You know who does that? People like Tech Nine. They know who their fans are. They know where their fans are, and they're not running to outlets just to say that they ran to them. Tech Nine is about, he understands his business. He understands who he makes music for and who's going to take in that music, who's going to be at his shows, who's going to buy merch, and he understands who's not. And he's not going to go waste his time in places that aren't going to support him when he's not there.
I mean, here's the reality of the matter.
Currency's like that too. He understands his audience.
They should be going everywhere. Like, as an artist, you know, I never forget when 50 said, like, 50's right when he says this. There's no such thing as bad publicity, like when you're an entertainer and an artist, because it can all potentially help your bottom line. And so it's like him going and doing, Benny making the rounds, like with Breakfast Club and like all those guys. Oh no, if they're accepting you for an interview or for some slot time, you should definitely do it. It could only really benefit you, like, in the long run, about spreading yourself around musically. But what I'm saying is that there appears to be this thing with them where they would rather do that than do this. And this is where their bread was buttered first. And I'm not saying according to hip hop, I'm saying organizations
Just
like according to
grassroots,
hip hop.
yeah.
Yeah, just grassroots organization. Well, this was where your bread was buttered, and you should not forget that during your comeuppance. You know, it's one of those things. The same people that you see on the way up is the same people you're gonna see on the way back down, and so you should be mindful of those things because there's gonna come a time, and some people have felt this time has already come, where you're not gonna be the hottest thing in the streets anymore. And best believe when you're not the hottest thing in the streets anymore, none of those major people like B. Dot, Charlemagne, Elliot. Oh no! As soon as you're not hot, they're not going to support you again. And so they should be mindful of that, based on how they built it, Mike.
There's
nothing wrong with me saying that.
It feels like, and it is what it is. It feels like, you know what? They're just too big for our platform. That's what it is. Let's just call it what it is, right?
That's fine, Mike. This is what I'm saying.
That's the mentality. I'm just calling it what it is.
Hold on. So were Hit Boy and Chris the Glove Taylor.
I know.
Hit Boy, listen to this. Hit Boy has a diamond plaque, Mike.
Yep.
And he retweeted my post on Twitter this weekend and said, "Coop,
always
Chris the Glove Taylor, Mike, had a platinum plaque when we were fucking 3 years old."
Yep.
Quadruple platinum plaque when we were 3 years old. Chris the Glove Taylor had a quadruple platinum plaque when niggas wasn't going platinum in this business.
Hit Boy always reposts.
Mike, and he pulled up not for 1 week, not for 2 weeks,
but
for 3 straight weeks.
Yeah.
And still shouts me out to this day.
Yep.
So they're not too big for us.
I'm telling you what the mentality is.
Like people talk about my ego. It ain't my ego that we need to be talking about, because I can hit Boy up and Hit Boy is going to respond.
Yeah.
He's bigger than that entire camp combined.
He's always been very responsible. He even sat down in an interview at the height of what him and Nas were doing. So, yeah, shout out to Hit Boy for that. Jermaine Johnson with the super chat, and great example, by the way, said, unfortunately, people most often seek love from those that don't love them, and those that already love them are taken for granted. And there's a lot of that going on. And that's the other thing, too. A platform like, the Breakfast Club, like you said, if you get an opportunity, they're reaching out to you, take it. Why not? But let's be honest. Who really listens to the Breakfast Club? What's that demo like? Like if Breakfast Club is selling ad space, or iHeartRadio is selling ad space for the Breakfast Club to corporations, who are they going to tell that corporation their core demographic is? That core demographic is more than likely, and I don't know their numbers, probably going to be somewhere between that 25 to 34 female bracket, right? Now, do you feel like Griselda makes music for that audience?
I don't, but I don't see. This is the thing about it. Oh no, I have no problem with them spreading their wings. They want a new demographic, Mike, because they want more notoriety, and so that 25 to 34 female demographic that you're talking about, well, Benny going on there, that might have caught him a few thousand more fans. I get that part of the process.
I have no problem with that either, but that's all the more reason that you need to spread your wings to all the places. You know what I'm saying? You don't just leave that for leave the actual audience you have for a new audience that you don't have yet, and don't treat that audience that you already have. You know what I mean? Do all of them.
Yeah, do all of them.
Mm-hmm.
But also, too, Mike, part of me feels like, well, some people don't like answering the tough questions.
Well, that too. And,
yeah, some people don't like answering the tough questions. And a lot of the more grassroots organizations ask tougher questions.
You know what I also think it is, too? I think he's feeling the pressure of this music. And he knows we're going to talk about the music. And I'm not just saying us, we're just talking about Grassroot Media. When I say us, I'm talking about Grassroot Media altogether, not just Mike D and Coop. We're going to talk about the music, and we're going to hold the music to account to a whole different level than somebody like the Breakfast Club are. They don't break down album reviews. They'll just say, oh, this is hot, this person's cold, this person's popping. They probably don't even really listen to the records, to be honest. I can't even tell you that. I mean, there's nothing that I could point to say that from a music standpoint that Charlemagne's even incredible in breaking down music in this era. Like, what do I have to point to on that? And look at
I was
B
about to
Dot's
say,
list. Look at B Dot's list. We see it all the time. These people are out of touch. So they're not going to critique the music on that level. But for the people who are in touch with what's going on musically, you want to sit here and call them haters because they're actually critiquing the music. I think there's a fear that the grassroots media of hip hop is going to be very tough on the material that's coming out in ways that the mainstream media won't.
we should be.
Yeah.
What we're here. I mean,
If the
it's about
music
the
is
music
good,
at the
none of
end of
this
the
is a
day.
factor. You know what I'm saying?
It's not. It's about the music at the end of the
Yeah.
day for me, and it's like I have a hard time believing that Charlemagne knows the words to Rubber Bands and Wait and 97 Hove and Rick like you and I do. I was playing
Yeah.
Rick the other day, Mike. That's still my favorite Benny record. It's like, no, I play fam. I support their music. I stream their music. I'm a fan.
If it's dope, it's
But
dope.
if it's good, it's good, and I really do. And anybody that knows me know this. Oh, I want to see all my people win. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so I want them to get all their accolades and all the stuff that they deserve. I told them I don't want them getting like the Mobb Deep treatment where it's like shit's just going gold and never really goes platinum, and you know the only stretches but so far, and then you find them making a Hey Love one day. Like I don't want that for them. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so I feel it's my duty from the position that you and I sit in to try to help an organization like that in any way that I can. I just find it kind of odd that they don't want our type of help.
And yeah, and we've always supported the movement because the music was dope. And wasn't because of any personal relationships or anything like that. And again, it doesn't matter if people, sit down or not. I would love for them to, for the fans' sake, and just as a hip hop fan's sake. But if they don't, that's fine as well. But just going on mainstream platforms, lashing out at the grassroots, I just don't understand it. Jermaine Johnson with the super chat says, Coop, to your point, Hit Boy has retweeted 3 of my tweets over the past year. And I'm just a regular non-media, non-celebrity dude. That's
Right.
when you're grounded, And shout out to Hit Boy for that. But speaking of Hit Boy, you want to read what LT sent us earlier?
I do, since we're on the subject of the matter. LT and I had a nice conversation. Like, LT's a supportive brother.
Yeah, he is. Very dope brother out there in Little Rock, Arkansas. They want funk flex. I mean, listen, man. I don't know, man. It's I don't know. These trophies and adulations, I think sometimes it gets convoluted in what an artist really wants. I guess every artist wants something different for themselves, and I guess that would be the main question. What are you here for? Are you here to be, superstar on some, Jay-Z level? Or is it about the music, or is it about constantly serving your fan base? And I guess every artist jumps in this thing with different levels of what success means to them, or different definitions, of what success means to them. Because if you ask me, Currency is an incredibly successful artist. To some people, they might not think he is for whatever reason. Some people's level of success might look like Drake for them. You know what I'm saying? Some people's level of success might look like J. Cole for them. Some people's level might look like Big Crit for them. I don't know. And I guess that's what we don't know, what they deem as success. And, maybe they're
different for everybody.
Yeah, maybe there's different variations
Different
for
for
each
everybody.
person in that camp. But it seems like from actions, what they want is adulation from B. Dot.
Right.
Elliot
Mike,
Wilson.
I told you, Mike, success for me right now is being able to walk around the city of Atlanta and everybody know me as Coop from According to Hip Hop, and not like Coop from things that I've done or people that I've known or girls I've dated. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, that's success to me right now, because it's like, that's what I want. So it is different for everybody. This is, so LT, shout out to LT again, and support LT's project too. His whole stop wearing dresses thing. I've always felt the way about the comedians and the dress thing. So I have. I always have. Because I feel like there's some emasculation that goes on with the black man in this society, and that's part of the contribution that Hollywood has to it.
For sure.
But that's neither here nor there. So this is from Harlem. Black Soprano Family and Def Jam executive and Benny's manager. He said, good morning. During the recording process, Benny recorded 20 songs and picked 12 that fit the concept of Everybody Can't Go. Benny wanted to hit certain check marks with this album by expanding his sound and cadences to reach beyond the East Coast. He also said Hit Boy is the best producer for this aspect, and we agree here at According to Hip Hop. Hit Boy is the best producer in hip hop right now, period. But as far as expanding borders, he's definitely that. And so that was the statement. Can I say something right quick, Mike, before you comment on the statement?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that lets me know that he watches us because we've been talking about and asking why this album is taking a year.
Mm-hmm.
So they hear us talking, they know who we are, or we wouldn't be getting this statement.
Right.
But I think this, and I told you, when we ended the show last week, I was like, oh no, this new Benny record, it got me excited because I'm like, oh, if that's what you holding, that should have went first. To me, like, I shouldn't have heard Big Dog. I should have heard this. And I like Big Dog. That's a dope record.
Right.
But it's also showing me that he's setting the album up. Like, Big Dog's not a bad record. That's a dope record. So he's 2 for 2 in my opinion. You know?
Mm-hmm.
That Braun record is fire.
I like it.
And I do like the fact, yeah, that shit's fire. I think it's the best rap song this year so far. I mean, it's early in the year. We're only halfway through January, but
right.
Of the 15 days that have existed in this year, it is the best rap song that I've heard this year. And when I tweeted Hit Boy, I let him know this is going to be a Song of the Year contender for the rest of the year because it's like that. It's one of Benny's best records, Mike.
I agree. I think it's one of the stronger records that I've heard, for a minute from him. It'll probably go back to
Plugs.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
I think this is his best record since Crown for Kings with Black Thought.
I was going to say something like that. Yeah, something in that era.
Or the 18-wheeler joint with Pusha T.
And that was what, 2019? That was 19, right?
That's 19.
Yeah.
But it might be better than both of those records, Mike. So I think you might actually have to go to Tana Talk. Which Tana Talk is it that got Rubber Bands and Weight and 97 Hove on it?
Tana Talk 3? Tana Talk 2, I'm sorry.
I think it's better than almost everything he's made since Tana Talk 3. So he's in a nice zone. And I appreciate Harlem, sending the message along to LT to pass to us. I don't change or take back anything that I said previous to that.
No. I think everything is valid. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I like 12 tracks. I think that's a really good spot. Putting out songs individually over time, I think it is I guess it could be the right move. He's trying to change the pattern of behavior of his listener, right? They're used to getting a lot of material from them all at once, frequently. And I think what he's trying to do is slow down that pace. And maybe that's why, he's sounding off about the critiques and the immediate criticism and trying to let things sit. Because how do you actually slow down the process? The way to slow down the process is to slow down how you're feeding, your base. Do you think of the 12 songs that are going to make it on the album, is it official that these 2 songs are going to be on the album?
Yeah, I think if you were to pull it up like on a platform.
Gotcha.
I believe that there might be 3 songs available.
Let me see. I think it is 3 songs available because I remember when I was playing it. Yeah, it was there. Hold on, let me pull it up real quick.
Yeah, Braun, Big Dog, and One Foot In with Stove. The joint with Stove is hot too. That's what I'm saying. This is like, okay.
Yeah.
Like when I listen to these 3 records, I'm like, all right.
12 is a good spot to be at. Mad Max with the super chat
12
says,
is a great spot.
I seen Benny go on PSA Hip Hop and platforms like that. I don't know about that snubbing their fans like that.
I mean, nobody said that they were snubbing their fans. That's not what we said.
Well, that's what Mad Max is saying.
No, I get it. I mean, we just need to be quoted correctly because making that chat on this show, it makes it seem like we're saying it's like, oh, you niggas don't, are snubbing your fans.
No,
not saying that. It's not the
James Smith with the super chat says, "Do y'all have first week sales projections?"
Have to reach out to LT for that information, but I mean, it don't drop for another 9 days or something like that, right?
Yeah, something like that. Mad Max with another super chat says, and let's be for real about the so-called Griselda fans. Y'all really on them like that because They do a slowed down tempo of boom bap. I don't know if they fans like them for them.
Right. And also too, I
Huh.
mean, and we have to ask this question as well, because I mean, I didn't really realize it till like the whole AZ thing kind of, and people are like, you know, we didn't even get a response from that either.
Right.
But then he went and like did all the rounds with all the New York stuff. Is PSA hip hop based out of the East Coast, Mike?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe.
Because I mean, not being funny, I've never heard of them. I mean, I don't know what their following's like, but I bet you they're probably a New York-based entity, and there seems to be a thing. And here's my thing with, if I was to say something about us, oh no, them niggas been down here.
I
Like
know
Griselda
Rome.
specifically
Rome
was
has
in
gone
Atlanta for some
to
years.
Rome has gone to Rap Roundtable, and
Correct.
and shout out to Rome Streets or whatnot. Speaking to the
It was a
base.
good interview too. I
Yeah.
watched it.
So I don't know if it's a mentality where it's like, okay, well, let's look at like the Rockefeller system, right? So Memphis Bleak and Siegel and them can come interview with us, or let's just say Oskino and Sparks and things like that. But you're not getting Jay or let's just say Siegel in that sense, because I think there is a hierarchy with Siegel. So maybe that's kind of how it's being positioned, but I don't know, man. I think at the end of the day, this ain't about us. It's I think you're doing your fans a disservice when your fans are grassroots and they are in tune with grassroots media, and you're not
Right.
feeding that directly.
Well, a lot of the people who follow us love them.
Yeah,
That's what it's about.
that's
not
what it's about.
us.
Like, listen,
Right.
at the end of
It's
the
not about
day,
us.
man, if I got a chicken shack, right, and I'm selling chicken or whatever I'm selling, if there's an outlet that loves my brand of chicken, I'm gonna go holler at that outlet no matter how small or big they are. It just makes sense. That's your customer base. If your customer base is here talking about hip hop and always talking about hip hop music and talking about you, whether you're active or not, when you are active, it would be a good idea to tap in with your fans through that outlet. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and I think there is some stigma that comes with us, and most of it is probably me. Because quite frankly, I'm difficult. And I'm not going to stop being difficult. And if you don't like it, that says
Well,
more
what do
about
you- what
you
do you
than about
mean?
me. Because
What do you mean
because
you're
real
difficult? Hold on.
journalists,
Explain.
people understand. Real journalists ask difficult questions.
What do you mean you're
They're
difficult?
not here to. They're not here to. I'm like I told you. It's like I'm not here to be no fucking rapper's friend.
I mean, I think both of us give off that, but I mean, what do you mean? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You're difficult.
Like
It's
like,
not scripted.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean,
They're going to have to answer real questions. I'm truly insightful. I really dig into the music. I'm going to ask you difficult questions. I'm not out to be your friend. I'm not looking for a relationship with you. I just want to interview you because you're a great artist and I'm a great journalist. And therefore, I'm going to ask you great journalistic questions. And quite frankly, a lot of today's artists, because they haven't been cultivated to deal with media, shy away from people like me and people like you because of that. Yeah.
well, I mean, I reached out. I don't know, man. I reached out to a prominent Chicago MC whose name's not Kanye West. They had a book coming out, and I reached out to their people, and they gracefully declined. I mean, it wasn't even like they even ignored the email or anything. And I don't know if it's because we might not be on script with other media outlets and ask some things that might not be a part of the protocol. I don't know. Maybe that's what it is. But
I'm not about to be part of the protocol.
and
That's the
but
thing
again,
about it.
I don't want to get it twisted or anything, because we're always going to be professional. We're not going to sit there and ask people things that are totally out of bounds or incriminate anybody or make anybody look bad in front of their base. That's never the point. It's all about the music, and I don't understand why anybody would shy away from anything like that.
Because they're not prepared, Mike. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. And too many people, you have to understand how this business really works now. And I know you do understand this. The image is so much about it. And so you can't afford to get undressed by a journalist or made to be look like a fool. You can't
I
You
have
know, you
more
can't
faith in
stand to
them in
stand next
that.
to no, for real. You can't stand as a rapper. You can't stand next to a journalist that may have more hip hop knowledge than you. It's
Well,
not a
I
good
mean,
look for
that's
them. And so I do understand. That's why most of the people that have been willing to talk to me have been producers and not rappers.
well, I think there is a job to do also as a journalist to be able to. We understand whenever anybody's sitting in front of us. I mean, the job obviously isn't to kiss ass or anything like that, but it's also to, highlight that individual and the great work that they're doing. We're not going to talk to people that aren't doing great work per se, right? And
Right.
so I would hope that they would have enough trust in the process and and just the professionalism that we carry ourselves with, that we're not here to go out there and try to go viral and make you look bad. And again, shout out to Hit Boy for coming on the program and doing a full sit down while he's at the height of one of his best runs in music. It was never about trying to get some clout off of catching him slipping or whatever. It's about the music. And I think
There's
that
not
these guys got to trust that part of it. And they got to trust themselves. Like, I don't understand why, Shay Noir would shy away from, sitting down with us. It would be nothing but glowing, glowing responses and giving her props and giving her just due. Because there are a lot of people who listen to us that might not be up on her yet like that. And,
there's
that
not
would just be an opportunity to just further that. And she's doing a lot of great things.
she is. She's brilliant. She's one of the best MCs in the game, period.
Period.
There's not one person that we've interviewed, Mike, together or separately, where we haven't given them glowing respect and humility.
Exactly. So what's the problem?
So
We're
right,
not,
but
yeah.
that's what I mean about it's like an image thing to a degree too. You know what I'm saying? Because it's
Yeah.
like they don't want to come off a certain type of way, and I understand that part of it. It's just like I just don't understand the process of the way some of the modern MC works, and it just speaks to me once again. No real A&Rs or direction or cultivation of artists going on.
Michael Williams of the Super Chat says, what are your thoughts on Benny doing a traditional rollout by releasing 3 singles? I remember when Pusha did it for It's Almost Dry, you weren't a fan. I mean, I'm going to be honest, I'm not a fan of this either. But I understand that he's coming from a camp that frequently puts out a lot of material, and people have been critical of that as well. So I think he's trying to change the pattern of how his fans, or how their fans, the whole Griselda movement, take in music and take in new music. So I understand that part of it. Do I think it's going to work in a traditional sense? I don't know. You know what I mean? But I'm not a fan of 3 records being out, on a 12 album LP, and now we got 9 records to go. I would say more so put out 1 record right before you're about to put out the album. That's just my opinion, but
So I'll share a brief moment that I had in a conversation I had with Taj, the plug. It's been over a year now, probably. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because I had talked about trying to interview Nas, obviously. And she didn't mention the fact. She was like, well, she was like, some people over here think you might fly off the handle.
Mm.
And I said, well, respectfully, I said, show me the interview where I've done that. The end. You feel what I'm saying? And so I don't know what specifically as far as we're concerned. Oh, no, we've done nothing but give people their props and be glowing about their projects when we interview them, because that's the reason that we want to interview them.
The
we're not one of the
conversations
people
we
that are out
have here are conversations you and I have, and with the audience and all that. So yeah, if we're flying off the handle or this and that, this is regular individual conversations. I mean, that doesn't stop them from going on, Math Hoffa and stuff like that. Those guys do that when they're on their own too.
Correct.
So
that's why I said, well, respectfully, yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I kind of dropped it after that, because it's like, to be honest with you, it's like, oh, well, if that's how his camp feels, guess who don't want the interview? Because that's why I'm saying I'm not that guy. And I think he's the greatest MC of all time. But just the fact that she told me that somebody in the camp felt that way, who shall remain anonymous. You know what I'm saying? Because I know who kind of said that. It's like, nah, good on asking the interview. Because you know what I'm saying? Because man to man, if I were to see that person, oh, I would check them on that as a man. You know what I'm saying? So
Well, I
I
mean,
let that
again,
go because they had no reason to say that based on the interviews that you and I have done. You feel what I'm saying?
well, the work speaks for itself. Black Wealth and Power with the super chat says, does Benny want the Source era love for 2024 mainstream media? I mean, that doesn't exist in that format anymore. It just doesn't. And really, if you're looking, oh, sorry about that. It's the middle of
It's
the
all
day.
good.
People hit me up. But if you're looking for that, honestly, according to hip hop, is that because the Source really, we look back at it, even though they were a major publication, they were as grassroots or as big as a grassroots publication for hip hop could be in that time. They were very East Coast biased now. Now, I'm not going to get that twisted. But if you want to talk about a publication or an outlet that was able to galvanize people who were hip hop fans, the Source was able to accomplish that successfully in that
Yes.
era. And if you're
Yes.
looking for that in today's time, I'm not saying us specifically, but if you're looking for that, you need to be looking at the rap roundtables, the A2HH lives, the fresh outs, and other grassroots platforms that cover hip hop. That's what that is collectively. If that's the kind of stuff you're looking for, you're not getting that at the Breakfast Club. And I'm not shitting on them and their platform and what they do. They're great at what they do, but they don't cover music in that way. And that's just the honest truth. They don't.
Right. Like, like, how about this? We're going to talk about 21 Savage's album. Mike, I have a page of notes. Like, because we're a show that's about the music. Like, the rest of my notes are all like bullet points. The rest of the notes are about 21 Savage's album because my concern is the music. It always has been.
Mm-hmm.
We
Always.
started this because we love the music.
I mean,
Like,
this
this show
started off
started
as it's
about
a
this
music
show
review
started.
show. Yeah.
Yeah, this show started about one of my music reviews, Jay Electronica and Jay-Z, ironically enough.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the birth of this show. It's always been about the music over here. And so, you know, and the whole platform not being big enough thing, that's the thing about how it exists now. I mean, not being funny, Mike. We do YouTube numbers sometimes that are comparable to people's record sales that turn us down.
I know. Uncle Fran with the super chat says, 3L Man from PSA Hip Hop is from New York, but he's in Florida now. Okay. Once a New Yorker, always a New Yorker. That's what a New Yorker told me. Let's see. I think I saw Jay Short check in. Shout out to Jay Short on the holiday. Said this anti-Hit Boy sentiment needs to be called out. Every project he's involved with, we have to hear about how some C-list producer should have done the album. It's getting corny at this point. Shout out to Jay Short repping. All right. I mean, I guess we can get off of that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the album. But
How excited are you, Mike? Because I think I'm more excited than you for Benny's album. Like, I think I love Bron more than you do, too. Because I expected you to hit me up once you heard Bron and be like, yo, this right here. And you didn't do that. So I was like, oh, okay.
I'm just waiting to
like,
see, man. I'm waiting to see the whole thing. And honestly, when it comes to the critics that Benny speaks of, I feel like he's talking about me. I mean, I really do. Because I'm the only one that's been saying that I'm worried about the fact that, you know, the process is taking so long. If the album keeps getting pushed back. I said that's not a good sign. I said that about everybody. I said that about Kanye. I said that about Kendrick. This is not a personal critique or anything like that. And I've said on this show that Benny was my favorite coming out of the Griselda camp. You know, so I don't know. I'm reserving judgment. I'm feeling like I feel about the Cowboys at this point, right? I'm reserving judgment until I get the whole thing. And I'm not comparing him to the Cowboys in no facet.
I'm about to say, you need to put some respect on Benny's name and not compare him to that sham of a franchise.
Nah, I'm not comparing him to the Cowboys. I'm just saying I want to hear the whole album. Because I hear the whole thing of it's going to be the hardest Def Jam album since DMX's Dark and Hell is Hot and all of that. And I get it. It's a lot of pressure to drop your... Is this his Def Jam debut?
Correct.
Okay, that's pressure in itself. And then you have a fan base that's Griselda's fan base where they expect a certain brand of hip hop. You have that to deal with. And you have to deal with the fact that, you know what, I need to expand my reach. I'm sure that's more of a Def Jam pressure as well. And probably something he wants to do. So there's a lot of pressure out there. And so when we're getting on this microphone and being honest, I guess it adds to the pressure. And maybe it's a reaction to that. But I am excited to hear some great hip hop music, but when you have somebody talking about the critics and the critics need to slow down, it doesn't make me feel confident that they're confident in the music that's coming out. You know what I'm saying? Like Jay didn't have to go out there and bash the critics before the Blueprint came out. He understood what he was making. You know what I'm saying?
First of all, Jay didn't have a reason to bash the critics before the Blueprint because all the critics loved him, Mike.
That's true. But I don't think
there was no criticism being had. He was being treated. He was talking about my robe. He was the one that was getting treated like King Jaffe up in here.
Okay, that's a fair point. What about
Call the
Volume
Flower
2?
Girls.
Yeah?
Call the Flower Girls. Throw some rose petals down when that nigga's walking around the Blueprint, Mike. Throw some rose petals down when Jay's making the Blueprint.
Well, let's bring out Nas in this. Fresh off of Nostradamus. When he's promoting Stillmatic, did he have to go out there and bash critics? No, he understood what he made.
I do remember an interview. I remember when he went on 106 in Park and they were clapping for him and he said, "Thanks, I don't get a lot of love out here." And so he felt some type of way, Mike.
Yeah, but he let the music speak.
Well, he made Stillmatic.
Yeah. I mean,
conversation over.
When your back is against the wall, and that's what I've always admired about Nas and T.I. as well. Back against the wall, they make some of their best stuff. Uh-huh.
Well, here's the thing about it. First of all, you're talking about, in my opinion, the best MC of all time, and arguably the most versatile and accomplished MC to come out of this region in the South. And so they're more one of ones, maybe. And so my expectations aren't that. Like, how about this? When I was watching the highlights, when I got home and I saw the highlights of the Sacramento and Milwaukee game, as soon as I seen them say, and De'Aaron Fox hit a free throw with 5 seconds left to send them up 2 points, I was like, Dame's about to hit a three-pointer to win the game. Because I know who he is.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And some of the angst that Benny's feeling is because for as great as he can and as great as he can be, we still don't know who he is. You know what I'm saying?
I think he has the ability to make an album of the year. I think that
but we don't.
Hit Boy.
You see how you keep saying you think?
I do.
Hold on. Like, that's what I mean. It's like when I saw them highlights last night and they said De'Aaron Fox hit the free throw to take him up 2, I was like, there's 5 seconds on the clock. Dame getting the ball. Good night. Because I know who he is. We still don't know who Benny is in that regard. And he knows that that's the rhetoric about him. And so some of this response is in relationship to that, in my opinion. And that's part of why I don't take it personal. It's like, oh, it's definitely not about me. Even if you're talking about me and Mike D, oh, it ain't about me. It's about you.
It's about the music.
Because like you said, Mike, he's somebody that we have said is capable of being the best MC in this game.
Yeah.
He is somebody that we have said is capable of having a verse of the year. He is somebody that is capable of having album of the year. And he is yet to make the project that reflects that talent.
Freddie, and I'm not saying this, because of whatever they got going on. I'm just bringing up Freddie because he's an artist that has a similar fan base as the Griselda movement, right? They were heavy collaborators and all of that, and make that brand of hip hop that many Griselda fans gravitate to. Freddie has proven that he can do that time after time. You know what I'm saying? And we would. These type of, I don't even want to say critiques, but these type of questions wouldn't even arise with Freddie at this point because he's proven that. Like, with Alfredo, even with Soul separately, like, we know. Bandana,
Pinata.
Yeah.
The Freddie album, I was going back and listening to some of Freddie's old stuff. Like, Freddie been making great albums for a long time.
He
like,
has.
He is the current, like, the most underrated catalog in the last 10 years is Freddie's catalog.
Easily.
Yeah.
No.
Easy.
He has some stellar work.
And I'll say this to finish off, and this is where it's really all about the music for me. And you're the one that pointed this out to me because I like Sly Green. on Burden of Proof, and you were like, nah, One Way Flight. And now when I go back and listen to One Way Flight, you know what I really think? I'm thinking like, damn, I hate that you niggas got into it. This is the best damn song on this album.
Yeah, man, it's
I care
unfortunate.
about the music. I don't care if them niggas don't like each other. I don't care if Benny don't like Mike D and Coop. I care about the music.
Yeah.
And the fact that we not getting no more one-way flights with Hit Boy and Jansport J on the track.
That's unfortunate.
And Benny and Freddie on the bars with the hook. That shit hurts. Benny not liking us don't hurt.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. They should be making making great music together because they're both very talented.
What's the joint? Frank Lucas on Alfredo?
Yeah.
That's what pisses me off. Benny not liking us don't piss me off if he talking about us. It's the fact that I ain't getting no more damn Frank Lucas or One Way Flight. Give a damn about how a nigga feel about me. It's about the music.
Yeah. And everything that we do here, and even when we talk to Kendrick Lamar stuff and even the J. Cole stuff, it's to push better music to come out, because that's what the Source did back in the day, whether they were East Coast biased or not. When they were giving out them 5 mics, they were pushing artists to make better music. You know what I'm saying? Because they knew that regardless, their stuff was going to go through that reviewing process from the Source magazine. And for many artists, that was a push. Big Boy was very vocal, even on Skewed on the Barbie, which is on Akumina, which is 5 mics, that mattered. So obviously, when they were recording Akumina, the critiques of the Source magazine factored into how great that album became. It is what it is. So when we're in here having these real conversations and talking about the music and being very particular about it, it's for hip-hop to be better all around. I think it's a cop-out to not react by making better music, but reacting by telling the critics to slow down. No, no.
Right.
Don't slow down.
And this is
Keep
what I
the
mean.
pressure
It's about
on.
the music. Hold on. And this is what I mean. It's about the music. Wouldn't you be excited if Freddie was on this new Benny album?
Yeah.
It'd make you excited, wouldn't it? That's
Yeah.
what I'm about. I'm about those moments that excite me as a music listener and a lover of hip hop.
Well, speaking of hip hop.
Hip hop excites me.
Of course. Speaking of hip hop.
Love this rap shit.
Mos Def was in a recent interview. Not sure who he interviewed with. I'm not trying to be funny. I just saw a bunch of the clips. But he said that Drake is more pop to him and not hip hop. And he hears Drake's music when he's like in Target and shopping or something to that degree. I have a lot to say about this, but what was your first reaction? Huh?
When I watched it, Mike, my first thought was, how many albums has Mos Def made? Like rap albums? Because Drake's made more rap albums than Mos Def has, a.k.a. Yasin.
Yeah.
So my first thought was like, well, he's actually done more rapping than you have in your career. That was my first immediate thought, Mike, is like, you're talking about another artist who raps more than you actually rap.
They both sing and rap, which is interesting because Mos Def sings a lot too.
I was about to say, and don't Yasin sing a lot?
I think his biggest song is a singing record. And I love
Umi
Yasin.
Says?
Huh?
Talking about Umi Says?
Yeah.
Mike, it's probably his best song and he's not rapping. That's the next thing I thought. I was like,
and he's an
your
incredible
best song,
MC.
You don't even rap.
He's an incredible
like
MC.
His most classic song that gets played the most, even more than Miss Fat Booty, is a song where you don't even rap. And so I never thought I'd say this about Yasin. It wasn't until the comments afterwards where he kind of like played like, you see how he did like a whole dialogue of the women walking through Target in their head. Did you watch that part? Where he's doing the dialogue? Yeah, so he did a whole dialogue after that. And it just came off to me as a little bit of jealousy, actually. But because he did the whole dialogue like somebody walking through Target shopping after that. And he did it in a real it's bad when I'm saying this. He did this in a real condescending and arrogant manner, Mike. And I was like, and I'm gonna tell you, like I told one of our staff members last night, if I'm talking about somebody's ego and arrogance, the shit's bad, right? It's bad when I'm saying that, right? Because I understand it's bad when I'm saying that. And so it did come off as a little condescending and arrogant and from a certain type of place that was kind of sarcastic. And it's like, what Drake ever do to Yasin? He damn sure raps more than you do. He raps more than you do.
Tater Tots.
So when you calling him a pop star, what you're saying is that he's more accessible than you are, which is true. But that's your own fault because you're an accomplished actor, singer, and rapper.
Yeah.
You chose your path. You could have been just as big as Drake had you applied yourself consistently. You chose your path. He chose his. Now reap what you sow.
Tater Tots with the super chat says, y'all check out Joel's, I'm sorry, not Joel's, Joel Ortiz and Crooked's recent album, Prosper. It's fire. Gotta check that out. I didn't even know they dropped. Esquire with the super chat says, the interviewer put him in a lose-lose position with the question, but he just gave his opinion. Drake doesn't have an LP better than Black on Both Sides or Black Star. LP with the super chat says, been saying this about Gibbs for years now. If y'all go back to the MC ranking, y'all gonna have to have him way higher than y'all did at the time. I think that's
catalog
fair.
is crazy, Mike. His catalog is crazy.
Let me start here.
Gibbs' catalog is crazy. Here's the thing. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say. I wanted to get in on this real quick. Well, you know what? Get that thought out so I can get to this Yasin thing, because I might run.
This is a Yasin thing too. It's like, so when Esquire said the interviewer put him in a lose-lose position with the question. Well, this is what I mean. So it's like, let's not get Yasin confused. Mike, I told you it's like he's still that dude from the Change Clothes and Go video too, right? Like, why is somebody like him interviewing on the type of platform where they're asking Yasin questions about Drake, Mike? Think about that.
It's true.
He put himself in that position. That's what I mean with how some of these dudes be moving. Mike,
we would never ask him about Drake.
Thank you, Mike. If we were doing a Yasin interview, we would never mention Drake's name one motherfucking
We wouldn't have
time.
to.
And so we don't have to because Yasin music speak for himself. We could talk about the Black Star Project, like the first one, and its impact on culture. We could talk about Black on Both Sides. We could talk about the new Danger. We're the one where he jumping across the building, Mike.
Oh yeah, Auditorium.
The Static.
Yeah.
Auditorium.
Yeah,
Ecstatic.
Auditorium's on there, but yeah.
Yeah, the Ecstatic with Auditorium on there. We can talk about the whole rollout, about the new Black Star album and our feelings on it, and get their rationale for it, Mike. We could talk to him for about 3, 4, or 5 hours and never mention Drake's name. But he'd rather go interview with somebody like that. It makes absolutely no sense to me. And so I don't feel bad for him for being put in that position. Because I'm going to tell you what, for me as somebody who knows that he's a better MC as Drake, he didn't look good to me. And I don't like that for him and his greatness as a black man.
I mean, the truth of the matter is, and I hate to use the term hating because we just came off of that Benny conversation, and that was a term that was used for critics who were just critiquing music, right? If you don't like something, somehow you're hating. Now, I'll give Common that quote where it's like, if I don't like it, I don't like it. That don't mean that I'm hating. But it seems that Yasin has been hating on Drake since day one. And even, you remember back when he was talking about battling Drake, where he was quoting LL, talking about battle anybody, I don't care who you tell. And then Lupe stepped up and said, well, battle me, Mickey Fax, and I think it was, who else was it? But anyway, most of that backed down after that. And he was like, I ain't got time to battle, yada, yada.
He was talking about him and Black Thought. He's like, me and Black Thought can fade anybody.
Mm-hmm. I remember that. But it was about Drake, though. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, this isn't the first time. And what has Drake done other than be successful for guys to react to him in this way? And if we want to talk
the part
about
where it comes off as hating.
Exactly.
That's where the hate comes.
And to say that he's pop based on what? He makes rap music. He makes actual records that get played in hip hop environments. I would say, and I'm not being tongue in cheek and being Mike D here, what makes Drake pop and Eminem not pop then? Because Eminem's music doesn't get played in hip hop places like Drake's does. It doesn't. I mean, hip hop DJs spin Drake shit. They don't spin Eminem shit.
Mike. No. Those are bars.
I'm just being real. Right there, so if we ask you, Yasin, is Eminem pop or hip hop, are you going to say Eminem's pop too, or is he hip hop somehow? And Drake's pop? Which is it? Because we can actually pull out who gets played on what radio formats. And Eminem shit gets played on pop radio formats and not hip hop radio formats. That's documented. Drake shit at least gets played in hip hop environments and hip hop platforms and hip hop radio stations. It does. So what are you basing this on?
You know, we always end up on this show somewhere back with these guys: Nas, Jay-Z, Eminem, Kanye. It's a beautiful rap world.
Jay Short with the super chat says, I hate Drake and I don't like his music, but Mos Def probably should not be talking when he was on that. I'm better than hip hop tip for a minute. He left the game and had to come crawling back.
That's what I mean. It's like, it's so for me, when artists speak about other artists, you have to be careful about your own place in space. And this makes me feel like he doesn't understand his place in his space. It's like, because he didn't go totally Andre 3000 on us, Mike, but he did kind of pull the, well, hip hop really doesn't excite me and I'm looking for, you know what I mean? He did kind of pull that move for a long ass time, Mike.
He did. I don't rap.
If you really want to know the truth,
yeah,
Mike, and it's like, Black on Both Sides is his only rap album to me. You know what I'm saying?
Is. Everything else is a hybrid. Like, yeah,
everything else is like a hybrid, like a Drake, Mike.
Exactly. That's what makes this very interesting. And you know, you and I spoke highly of the Black Star album that came out, this sophomore effort. And the MVP of that album, really, from a rhyming standpoint, was Talib. Most had his moments, but Yasin wasn't on there killing shit like that. And y'all can say whatever you want about Drake, whether you're a fan of him or not. Drake comes out here and raps, man. He raps.
I mean,
he raps.
I think everyone knows how I feel about Talib. Talib's the best MC on that sophomore Black Star album.
Yeah, he is. Hands down.
With Yasin right there in tow on every record with him, Talib is the superior MC on all of those records except for 2. And Black Thought blasted them both when Black Thought stepped to the mic.
Another thing that popped in my mind, let me get Esquire super chat real quick. Esquire with the super chat says fans assign a negative connotation to pop, but even Drake would agree with Mos Def. Now he said it in a negative way. Let's be real here. Drake is a hip hop titan, but only a quarter of his music caters to the purists. Okay, that's where I want to go. What the fuck is hip hop purist at this point when hip hop is popping itself? We saw it the whole hip hop 50 celebration, right? Everybody who was supposed to be purist, this and that, wanted to get on those big pop stages, correct?
I mean, Mike, not to be funny, but part of the reason why Griselda has such a grassroots following is because they're looked at it as hip hop purists. That's why going and doing the Breakfast Club and B-Dot is like, I thought y'all were hip hop purists. But maybe they're not hip hop purists and they just started out that way and didn't want to finish that way. And so what I try not to do, like, I hate the word conscious rapper, gangster rapper, like pop artist. It's like, because when I think of pop, I think Michael Jackson and Prince. I don't think about Drake. I think about Janet. I think about Madonna. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's pop to me. And so for me, that's where it becomes dismissive to put. First of all, it's dismissive to those artists because ain't no rapper fucking with those artists, period. And then it's dismissive to the rapper saying, well, you really don't belong in this lane, like in this street orientation of a music form. You belong over here with an androgynous Prince, with a delicate Michael Jackson, with a female feminine Madonna and Janet Jackson. So it's kind of a disrespect on a few levels to a few people, a few ways when you do that. And I'm thinking, like, first of all, it ain't like, you know, and I know Yasin is from Brooklyn, you know what I'm saying? But Mos was never like a tough guy in this business, you know what I'm saying, to be making those type of assertions about Drake necessarily. That's why it's like when I'm looking at who it's coming from, it's not like it's Scarface saying that, Mike.
Is it about the numbers and the attention? Because once again, if that's the case, are you ready to say that Eminem's pop? Are you ready to say that Tupac is pop? If it's about the numbers and attention, right?
You don't even got to say that,
it's
Mike.
Snoop Dogg pop.
If it's about the numbers and the attention, and you're talking about that man's numbers and his attention, that's hater territory, Mike.
It is.
You're in Haterville with all the other haters. Mike, you need to go on the haters ball with Dumb It Down and Baldy
And you know
and Lil
what?
Bro.
And you know,
Hate, hate,
again,
hate.
you know
Hate, hate, hate.
what Drake has done that I can't even say Eminem has done outside of people that he signed. Drake will take somebody who is a rapidy rap person or who is quote unquote hip hop and give them their first #1 record.
J. Cole, anybody?
Now, who else in the pop world does that if he's pop more than hip hop? Yeah, Meek Mill even.
Yeah, the record with Meek is probably one of the best records Meek has made like in the
It's
last
his
5 years.
first and only #1 record. You know what I'm saying? So
It sounds like some hateration and holleration in this dancery. Yes, it does. Family affair.
Mad Max with the super chat says Nas definitely calling Drake hip hop, but co-signed Kanye, who made pop music. Co-signed other pop artists, but Drake is not hip hop. I think at the end of the day, man, we saw from Hip Hop 50, and the fact that the Grammys did a whole Hip Hop 50 show, whatever you want to call it, showcase all the mainstream people who gave Hip Hop 50 this love. It's safe to say that hip hop is just pop in general, right? Hip hop is a part of popular culture, is it not?
Hold on.
That's what the whole fight was.
Was Run DMC is Run DMC pop for making Walk This Way with Aerosmith?
Right.
Because Run DMC, you could say for the style of records that they made in the climate that they were they pop?
At the time, I would imagine so. I mean, some of the OGs would say, look, we didn't like Walk This Way. We didn't like when they went out there and did that record. Because if you look at it, Walk This Way is what, 86, 87? Eric B.
It's on Raising Hell. That's 86, I believe.
Yeah. It's on Raising Hell. I think that's 86. Yeah, I think you're right.
That's 86.
Either way, you got Eric B. as president and all that stuff coming. You know what I'm saying? Like, so
right.
I would imagine that was viewed as pop.
Right, because it's like, because 9mm Goes Bang is made like 8 or 9 months after Walk This Way. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And even when you let's look at Houdini and look at Run DMC. Houdini's stuff is a lot more, I don't want to say street oriented, but more towards the hip hop aesthetic and the hip hop audience as opposed to the crossover audience. But again, this whole Hip Hop 50 experience last year showed me that hip hop wants that crossover acceptance. We saw all of our elders and OGs out there taking in the love and the crossover acceptance from the pop world, from the mainstream, and complained when they didn't get it. So now pop has a negative connotation.
Hold on, let me ask you something. Is Curtis Blow's Basketball and If I Rule the World, is that pop?
Of course.
Because
popular records, right?
Because Nas and Lauryn Hill damn sure jacked it and made it a hip hop record.
It's one of his biggest records.
You want to know why? Because it's a hip hop record. It just happens to be popular with the masses.
Mad Max with the super chat says, but when Drake, Mad Max says, but when Drake dies, people gonna be like hip hop. Mad Max also says they're gonna say he was hip hop. Okay. Let's see what else we got. I know we got another super chat here. Esquire with the super chat says his point is twofold. One, Target has a little bit of everything a customer could need. And two, Drake, like Jay-Z, gives the charts what they want and thrives. Man, I love how fans can spin
for
artists.
Esquire, I love you, brother. Stop that. If you really want to break it down, Mike, let's break it down.
Yeah.
He's bringing up Target because of all the local department stores, Mike, that have all the goods in them. Target's the expensive one and is usually frequented more by the Anglo-Saxon affluent community than the black community. He didn't say Walmart. He didn't say Kroger. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. He's painting a picture.
He said Target. Like, Yasin is brilliant. He said Target for a reason.
He did.
To give it a certain connotation. Esquire, I know you know what he's saying.
Yeah.
He's trying to speak in code about Drake being outside of this community by using Target to the connotation. Mike, remember when we used to joke and call Target Target because it was so fancy? And the prices cost more than the Walmart items?
Mm-hmm.
He knew what he's doing when he used Target for one. So this is about him throwing shade to Drake. Just the Target comment alone. That's code for the white women
Yep.
with money.
Yep.
Let's not fucking play games here and act like that's not what he said.
That's exactly what he said. That was
That's
exactly where
exactly
he
what
was
he
coming
said.
from with it.
And,
That shouldn't have been
here's the
such a
thing.
difficult question to answer,
on,
first of all.
hold
That
on.
wasn't a lose-lose
And-
question.
And Mike and Yasin is one of the more classically trained MCs we've ever had because he was an actor before he was an MC.
Mm-hmm.
So he knows how to answer a question on the spot better than almost anybody.
Well, that's where it comes in, where it feels like there's
He
some
said
jealousy
target for a
involved,
reason.
right? He's done everything that Drake has been able to do successfully. He's an actor, he's a singer, and an MC. Now, Drake was all three of those things, but he took it to levels that Yasin didn't take it for whatever reason. That's where it feels like hate's coming involved. Like, look, I'm better than this guy. Why is this guy doing all these numbers? How is this guy so big?
Hey, if you better, prove it then.
Web Visibility with the super chat says, putting the
Prove it.
messenger aside, I definitely think early Drake was more lyrical, and his music was solidly within the rap genre. But his most recent work, I would label more pop than rap. Why? Again,
Hold on.
where's
Hold on.
the label
Is Future
coming
pop?
from?
Is Future pop? Is Young Thug pop? Because they get titled as rappers.
Exactly. It's gonna pop. Like, what are we saying is pop
Lil
about what he
Baby
does?
pop.
What's that?
Is Lil Baby pop? All
Yeah.
of them. Are they pop? Is the hold on? Is the Drake? We about to talk about 21 solo album. Is the Drake and 21 project? Is that a rap album, Mike, or is that a pop album?
And if it's a pop album, why? Is my question.
How?
Exactly.
When?
Are you
Who did it?
other than let's put the numbers
When?
aside. If somebody say, you know what, numbers and all that ain't factored in, what feature, and I'm not talking about feature as far as featured appearance, but what aesthetic does Drake's music give you that makes you feel like it's pop?
Hey, look here. This 21 Savage album got just as many songs about girls as a Drake album. Is it a pop album?
I wouldn't label it that. Black Wealth and Power with the super chat says, why can't Drake be hip hop, R&B, and pop? Why does he have to be one thing? Drake is a hip hop legend, if we want to deal with it or not. Bottom line, I mean, if somebody were to ask me, is Drake a hip hop artist? That wouldn't be a difficult question. That's not a lose-lose question.
Yes.
I'll say yes, he is.
The answer is that yes. The answer is yes. Next question. Why are we
And
talking
then
about Drake?
And then this answer is coming from someone, once again, who did more singing at a certain point than he did rapping. Like, I remember buying The New Danger, being disappointed because he wasn't rapping on it 100% like he was on Black on Both Sides. But over time, I got over that and like, you know what? It's a dope piece of work. He got songs on there like Life is Real. He got Sunshine on there. He's doing his thing. But for him, of all people, who is an actor, MC, and vocalist, to try to marginalize the next guy who went out there and, let's just keep it real, did it on a global scale more successfully.
Did it bigger, did it better. No, say it. Did it bigger, did it better.
Did it bigger.
Did it bigger, he did it better.
So for you to criticize that person and say, well, you know what? He's not hip hop like I am. He's pop. And we know what that connotation looks like for our era. And it started with the Tribe stuff and with MC Hammer and all that. Rap is not pop. If you call it that, then stop. But at the same time, you know, we got the Grammy putting on a wonderful show for Hip Hop 50 and gave the conscious guys a whole stage. And they ate it up. That's not pop. It's coming on ABC in the, you know what I'm saying, on prime time. Hip hop itself is pop. And y'all fought for hip hop to be pop and crossover and get that mainstream adulation. Don't throw a negative connotation on it now when you want to single out an individual who's just doing it bigger than everybody else. It is what it is.
So a couple things, Mike. First of all, unlike you, when I heard The New Danger, that's the last Mos Def album I bought. Because I was like, oh no. I said, because this is the type of hip hop fan that I am. I'm like, I'm not about to let you do this to me.
I bought it, man.
He's one of those guys, Mike, at the time. Oh no, he is somebody that has the capability when we talk about Nas and Jay and Big and Pac and Rakim and Scarface and Ice Cube. He is one of those guys that has the capability to be in that conversation.
From a skill set
So when he came out with
standpoint,
The New Danger, I was like, I said, I'm out. I respectfully decline moving forward. And so I didn't really listen to his projects unless it was secondhand smoke. To the next thing, Mike, when we're talking about pop, is Parents Just Don't Understand by DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince pop? Because I'm pretty certain that that's the song that won that album. I'm the DJ, he's the rapper. Best rap album at the Grammys. You know, the first rap Grammy.
Yeah. Are we going to celebrate that or not?
Mike, is that a rap record or not?
I think it's a rap record. At the end of the day, like I said,
a rap record, Mike.
If people aren't going to sit here and apply this same thing, if they're not going to sit here and apply this same thing to Eminem, I don't want to hear it. Because, I'm not going to sit here and say that Eminem's not making, well, I've said it on this show before, I think he makes more pop music. He's an extraordinary lyricist and MC, and he's made rap records. But many of his records that were very big were big on the pop charts, and they get played on CHR formats. That's contemporary hit radio formats, and they don't get played on hip-hop or hip-hop and R&B or urban radio. They don't. That's just the reality of it. And if you're not willing to say that individual's pop, I don't want to hear it when it comes to Drake. Because Drake has fed the hip-hop aesthetic way more than Eminem has. And that's just the honest truth. And it makes me wonder, why? Are we talking from a skill standpoint? And it goes back to that conversation that you and I had, I think, last week or whatever. So because somebody has a certain skill level, that makes them more hip-hop than the next person? That's
not how it
You know
works.
what I mean? Like, is Fonte more hip-hop than Silk the Shocker just because they have different skill levels? And they take on different aesthetics when it comes to their production?
See, that's what I'm saying. See, the question should be, is Fonte a better rapper than Silk the Shocker?
Exactly.
The answer to that is hell yeah. Is Yasin a better rapper than Drake? Oh, hell yeah. Should he be saying this? Oh, hell no. You want to know why he shouldn't be saying this? Because he's a better rapper. But, Mike, listen to what I'm saying. Yasin don't have one solo record in the last 10, 15 years that's better than Back to Back or 0 to 100. So he needs to cease and desist with that talk, because he don't have a solo rap record like either one of those records I just named. Now, does he?
I mean, he just don't have any records. It is what it is.
So he should maybe stop. So this goes back to the conversation we're having earlier. It's like, man, you going on platforms and talking to people who really don't love you. They'd rather ask you questions about Drake because they don't even know who you are and know your fucking catalog like that, my G.
Mad Max,
like, that's real talk. So I don't. So more than even being a hater, once again, might be looking for love in the wrong place though, because
that's the theme of this show. It seems like, right?
Why would you go talk to somebody that would even ask you a question like that when you're fucking Most Def, aka Yasin? Like, just your bar work alone on the Black Star album and on Black on Both Sides is worth a 2-3 hour conversation, Mike. You feel me? Like, even if you don't go past Black on Both Sides on 1999, that's enough to have a conversation with that man. So the fact that he put himself in a position to act like a hater and behave like a hater because he was looking for love in the wrong place and talking to a woman that probably don't really know his catalog or what his spit game is like, that would rather ask him questions about Drake than ask him about his own greatness because he is great, that's his fucking fault.
I'm with you. Mad Max with the super chat says, but K-Dot can have hooks like Boo Boo and TT, and that is just hip hop, right? Though, right? Most Def? Real. Like, I don't even want to get on that soapbox, but yeah, let's listen to that record on the Black Panther soundtrack or whatnot, where K-Dot's just saying stuff, and that's hip hop, I guess. Esquire with the super chat says, Drake has substance from time to time. He says, Look What I've Done is the best record. It's his best record, but he has a track record of successfully making quote-unquote safe music. It's a lot of people who do that, Esquire.
A lot of people make safe music, Esquire.
A lot of people do that.
He might make safe music, but he also makes 8 a.m. in Charlotte. When the last time Yasin gave us an 8 a.m. in Charlotte? When the last time we seen Yasin go solo for 5 minutes on a record, Mike?
It's true.
You feel me?
Esquire with the super chat says, I agree with Coop's take on target consumer. Drake is a part of the culture. He is a transcendent hip hop, but he never made a pure rap album. And neither
Most
has
has only
Andre
made
3000.
one. He's only made one. Black on Both Sides is his only pure rap album, and the best song on that album, that nigga singing, Mike.
What is a pure
Singing
rap
like
album?
Patti
It just,
LaBelle.
hold on, you just talking about rapping from end to end. What is a pure rap album? I guess is my question.
Because if that's the case, Yasin's never made a pure rap album. Because once again, the best song on Black on Both Sides, that nigga singing.
Web Visibility with the super chat says, I always defined rap and pop based on what radio stations and artists get played on. If you only get played on Hot 97, Power 105, you're not pop. That's real. If we talk about end to end, never made an end to end rap album, respectfully, the great Lauryn Hill's never done that either. That didn't keep her out of discussions.
Mike, Andre be in discussions and he don't even have a fucking rap album. He's got a whole flute album, Mike. He's got a flute album.
And he's got, The Love Below, where he rapped like 3 times.
4 times, Mike.
Was it 4? Happy Valentine's Day, Spread. And the last song.
No, there's another rap on there somewhere. We're missing a rap.
I don't think it is, man.
Happy Valentine's Day, Spread. Verse on Spread is dope.
It is. All 3 of the verses are great. Nah, man, I know that album pretty well. I don't think there's another verse in there. No, unless you're counting Big Boy's verse on Roses. Yeah.
3. You're right, Mike. That's what I was thinking about. There's 4 rap verses on there. One of them belonged to Big Boy.
Yeah.
Never mind. I stand corrected.
So, I mean, I think that there's been pushback for Drake from the elder statesmen from day one. And I can only imagine how Drake feels probably growing up on people like Common. I mean, he started off doing songs with Fonte, Elzai, and Ninth Wonder. So he really listens to that hip-hop aesthetic. I'm sure he was a Mos Def fan just like the rest of us. Well, all the guys that he came up listening to start hating on dude for no reason. Clips, you got Common, Mos Def, DMX was giving it to Drake when he first came in the game too. It's like, dang. So I could see if it was something that just happened over time and Drake's sound changed and all that, like Esquire's saying. But they've been at this young man's head, and he's not young anymore, but since he was a young man. When he came in the game, they were at his head.
Hey, let me ask you something. If they were to battle, like if they were to have a diss record battle right now, who would you pick, Drake or Yasin?
Drake. Why wouldn't I? He's proven in a battle. That's the other thing too. How are you going to sit here and say this man's not hip hop when this man is proven in the art of battle?
Because most Def didn't battle proven. The one time he tried to challenge people to a battle, as soon as Lupe poked his head out, he
stepped down.
No, Mike, it was a duck down. It wasn't a step down.
Yeah. He said, I don't have time to write battle raps.
A duck down is what you do when you're fucking hiding from the competition. Duck down.
Esquire with the super chat says, a pure rap album is a rap album, not a hybrid. Lauryn Hill never made one either. Hotline, One Dance, Find Your Love, We're Going Home are not hip-hop records. Well, if that's the case, like Coop said, Black on Both Sides isn't one either. Because Umi says
later. Hold on. What's the singing song on Thank Me Later?
Shut It Down, I believe, with The Dream.
Okay.
Mad Max in the super chat says, Drake never made a pure rap album, neither has Dot or Cole. They sing on all their albums. Maybe most mad because of Drake's mom's side, since he's all Palestinian. Who are people that have Caucasian lineage? I said it. I mean, maybe that's it. Jamie Martinez with super chat says, I'm from New York City and Drake gets played on KTU and Z100. And those are pop stations, respectfully. Him being pop isn't a bad thing. Are there any other rap artists that get played?
We're saying the way that most tried to frame it, tried to make it seem like it's a bad thing. And our thing is like, A, why are you pulling up on somebody that's asking you questions about Drake? And B, why are you fucking hating?
Well, Jamie Martinez, I want to know, like, does KTU play any other rappers or rap songs? Or is it just Drake? Because those are some of the things that I've express, my background in radio and stuff when it comes to Eminem. I've experienced.
Well, I'm about to say Eminem is
Yeah,
definitely getting played on those stations. As
I've
Drake is, Mike.
experienced Eminem getting played on stations that don't play rap music at all. Like they're not gonna give you a Nelly. They're not gonna give you any of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Rock stations, honestly. Beastie Boys got a little bit of that too, but
Like, hold on, Mike. Is Ja Rule pop?
I guess by that definition, yes. I don't
I
know.
never
I
heard
mean,
Ja Rule. I ain't never heard Ja Rule get played in no Target. I've never heard Ja Rule on a pop station. Never. Not one time. Where would I be without you?
this whole conversation of what real hip hop is, again, it's always funny because it turns into, if you're making traditional boom bap East Coast hip hop, then that's what real hip hop is. Everything else that people are making, which is an offshoot of those things, or what they deem an offshoot of those things, is less than hip hop. And so it makes you take it back to, okay, well, what were the original hip hop records, and how did the boom bap style or East Coast style get precedence over all other styles?
Well, see, this is what I'm saying. So it's like you can't win for losing on either side. It's like I'm pretty certain Nas and Hit Boy just did that for 6 albums and didn't have one platinum plaque to show for it, Mike.
Right. But people will say, okay, well, that's real. What is real hip hop? Not doing things that are going to be
It's real
successful.
fucked up that it ain't platinum, Mike. That's the only real shit about it.
Not going platinum is real hip hop. Okay, I got it.
You feel
At the
me?
end of the day, once we start making things about numbers, and when people like Jay, who is achieved as he is, and even before he was achieved, talking about going platinum in a week, doing numbers, 50 talking about doing numbers, sorry to bust anyone's bubble, but hip hop is pop now. If you have albums that are going to be able to sell 1 million units in 1 week, you're pop. It is what it is. And not just the individual, the genre. If there is an actual hip hop album like the Carter 3, that did 1 million in a week, right? Graduation did 1 million in a week, pretty much.
Like
50 Cent did
Graduation
1 million
was a pop
in a
album.
week
That's
with The
the thing.
Massacre. That ain't no pop album. The Massacre is not a pop album.
It's got Piggy Bank on there.
Yeah.
Definitely rap. It's definitely some rap shit.
It's got
God
Ski
Gave Me
Mask
Style is
Way on there. Yeah, it's got Ski
Yeah, but I
Mask
think
Way
God
on
Gave
there.
Me
Like, come
Style
on.
is on there. Some rap shit, Mike.
Exactly.
But Mike, Candy Shop is on there too, Mike.
It is.
And to quote my social media name, Mike. What's wrong with us being all the things?
Exactly.
What's wrong with it? What's wrong with it? Why can't I mean like that's what I'm saying is like he didn't say that Drake was all the things. He said Drake is pop. It's like, well, if he's pop, he's also hip hop and R&B too, and you should have said that.
Exactly. And Target shouldn't have
But you
even
should-
been brought up.
But you shouldn't have been doing an interview with somebody that's asking somebody like Yasin questions about Drake. How about that?
Jay Short with the super chat
Looking
says,
for love in all the wrong places.
Jay Short with the super chat says, I agree 100% with Coop on the new Danger take. We not going to go back and revisit and revise history and pretend like that album was good. You get to make that as your 7th album, not your 2nd.
Yeah. No. It's like, that's what I mean is like he's always thought more highly of himself than his output was, because I'm not even sure if Black on Both Sides is a classic, Mike. You feel me?
I've always felt like that, Coop. And I'm a big Mos Def Yasin Bey fan. But if you
It's a
ask
great
me,
album, but it's not a classic.
if you ask me if Black on Both Sides is in the chamber of even the classics that came around it, 2001, It's Dark and Hell is Hot, Aquemini, like it's not on that level to me.
Hold on. You want to know what it's closer to? It's closer to A Capital Punishment by Big Pun.
It
Those
is.
are great albums, not classic albums.
I agree. Esquire with the super
Yeah.
chat says Drake is one of hip hop's greats, but when we talk about being the poster child for pure hip hop, do you consider Drake to be hip hop in the same sense as Common? Well, see, why do we even make Common the poster child for quote unquote pure hip hop? Where does that come from? And why?
Hold on.
And why is Common more the poster child for pure hip hop than somebody like Scarface? Is that not who you think about when you talk about pure hip hop. Scarface doesn't sing. Scarface just gives you the real when it comes to his bars. So why is Common, in the eyes of many, more pure hip hop than the Scarface?
Right. Is Come Close and The Light not pop records?
I mean, they crossed over records. I mean, if somebody wants
Mind Control, that's not a pop record.
What's that?
Them I mean, aren't those records pop records though? And for all y'all thinking that Most Def's Black on Both Sides is a classic, I want y'all, that album is 19 songs long. I want y'all to name me 7 classic songs.
Jamie Martinez with the super chat. Shout out to Jamie coming back. He says, Eminem definitely gets played on KTU and Z100, but hip hop isn't really their demographic. They aren't going to play at 8 a.m. in Charlotte. But the fact that Drake actually has that. Go ahead.
Last question for Jamie. Do Tupac and Big get played there?
It sounds like they're a station, and I've never heard of these stations out of New York because the only ones I know of are the hip hop ones, right? Sounds like they just play pop records. They probably play a lot of Taylor Swift and stuff like that. And Drake has crossed over so much where they have to play his records.
I love y'all, but I'm gonna say this respectfully because I love Capital Punishment, and I love Black on Both Sides. When you make a 19-20 track album, half the songs need to be classic for it to be considered a classic.
Somebody said I didn't answer a question. What question did I not answer?
Neither one of them fit that bill.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the classic songs on Capital Punishment. First of all, Super Lyrical with Black Thought.
Right.
Dream Shatterer. I guess you could say the Triple Sace with Prodigy and Deck. You Came Up with Noriega. And both of the Player records. That's 6 out of 19. That's a great album. That's not a classic album. Want to go to Black on Both Sides, Mike? Because Black on Both Sides may have less classic records than Capital Punishment. It's not a classic.
I think
you love it, don't make it a fucking classic. It's like that first Black Star album's not a classic. It's just a great album. It's a difference. Tired of explaining this
When
shit.
we talk about classics, though, man, I think that it's important. It's like, why is it a classic, right? Impact is one of those big things, right? Get Rich or Die Trying has the music, but the impact of what that album was able to do in the time that it did and the chokehold that it had on the game, that makes it classic without the music even being involved. But we got to ask ourselves, though, Coop, is it classic from an impact standpoint? Is it a classic from a musical standpoint? And in my personal opinion, I don't think that based on the people around it, it's just not on the level on any of those metrics to be labeled classic.
Here's what I mean by it's a classic. Go play Moment of Truth, and then go play Capital Punishment and Black on Both Sides, and tell me the Capital Punishment and Black on Both Sides is a classic. That's fucking wild.
Yeah, Moment of Truth. That's a great example.
That's what I'm talking about, Mike.
Because even without the impact, even without the quote unquote impact and all the mainstream fanfare,
that's why I'm bringing it up, Mike. You can hear it on every fucking song damn near. No Capital Punishment and Black on Both Sides ain't like that.
It ain't. They're great albums, but it ain't like that. Shit, let's go to X. Dark and Hell is Hot.
Oh, they don't want no part of It's Dark and Hell is Hot. No. It is crushing.
That's something different.
It's Dark and Hell is Hot destroys Black on Both Sides and Capital Punishment. That's how I know it's not a classic. It gets destroyed by an album like that, Mike.
Yeah.
Not beat, destroyed. The first half of It's Dark and Hell is Hot is better than both of those albums.
Mad Max in the super chat says, because Mike, Common is a black woman as God type of guy who has substance that, our people like. Guys who talk about our pain to feel like someone cares.
Tupac did that.
Yeah. But then they called Tupac a hypocrite.
Tupac actually called God a woman once, so that's Tupac too, right?
Mm-hmm. LP with the super chat says, I remember when pop radio used to mute the raps. Yeah, me too. Esquire with the super chat says, sure, replace Common with Face. The point remains KRS, Pac, Redman, etc. consistently make great hip-hop that derives from the essence of the genre/culture. Well, this is the thing, Esquire. You're bringing up guys from a whole different era. Bring up those same names in Drake's era and tell me the big difference between Drake and those guys. Because let's be
Right.
honest, if Drake was actually in a different era, I'm pretty sure his approach to music would be slightly different as well. So are we gonna sit here and say that Cole and those guys aren't hip hop? Because really, just even from an approach standpoint, give me the biggest difference between the way that J. Cole and Drake approach their music. You know what I'm saying? Like aesthetically, because they both do similar things. J. Cole's just a much better rapper, in my estimation, whereas Drake is a much better radio record maker. But when you get them on the same record, as we just saw, they can make music together where they don't have to compromise for each other. You know what I'm saying?
I like that analysis, Mike.
I mean, because that's what it is. They
Capital
both have
punishment.
they have their individual strong points. That doesn't make one more hip hop than the other. They just have their lanes that they go in. If you're a center and the other person's a point guard and you both play that position, great. Does that make one person a better basketball player than the other or less of a basketball player, right? Like, yeah, he really ain't a basketball player like that. He's just a center. He just played in the paint.
Capital Punishment and Black on Both Sides are not classics. There's not enough classic records on there. I'm sorry.
This is the thing, Coop. We lived it. We were there.
Don't have enough.
We lived it. We were there. We remember when those records came out. We remember what the actual buzz was like. So for us, we're basing the classic nature on how it was. All of this is revisionist history. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It's not like that.
Shit.
It's not like that.
I'm not revising shit.
Yeah, it's
You
not like
understand?
that.
Moment of Truth was a classic from the moment it came out. It's Dark and Hell is Hot. Aquemini. Those are classics. 2001. Those are classics.
I love
That's a
Mos
classic.
Def's too. I love Mos Def too.
Like a classic is something that you don't have to argue or debate about, Mike.
Exactly.
If it's a conversation, it's not a classic.
Listen, Coop, I love Mos Def, and we never were saying that Black on Both Sides was a classic.
We never
were
came
saying
out. We
that
never
the Black
said that.
Star album was a classic, and that's not to
We
be
never said
disrespectful.
that. It
It's just
didn't
the
happen.
truth. I love Method Man and Redman. We never were saying that the Blackout album was a classic, and I love that album. But if you were to
Mike.
sit there and ask me then, like, is it a classic? Like, nah, man, but this is a dope album.
Mike, when There's a Dark Side came out, nobody said it was a classic because it wasn't.
Mad Max with the super chat says, yo,
Fact.
Most, if you see this, Drake said, it bothers me when the gods get to acting like the broads. You sounded sassy on that pod, gang. That's not that's not becoming of you.
Did he say sassy?
Yeah, he did. Those were his words, not mine, Yasin, man. Jay Short with the super chat says, can you pose for a picture in blackface and be hip hop? Well, both Drake and Mos Def did that, so you know. Another thing they got in common.
How about this? Mike, let me ask you something.
Yeah.
If we're doing the top, let's say let's say we're just doing 90s rap albums. Just 90s rap albums.
Mm-hmm.
Does Black on Both Sides or Capital Punishment even make the top 25, Mike?
No. I don't think
It's
so.
not a classic. It's not a fucking classic.
Jordan House with the super chat
Fucking
says,
stupid talk. Like, stop thinking that it's a classic because you love it. There are albums that I love, Mike, and I know it's not a classic.
yeah,
Like, it's it. It's
A
just
lot
what
of
it is
them.
sometimes.
a lot
Like,
of
I
them.
love Mike. I love TM103 by Jeezy. I love that album. It's not a classic. I love it. It's not a classic. Mike, I love Urban Legend by T.I. It's not a classic.
Yeah, 100% agree.
It's okay. It's okay.
Jordan House with the super chat says, mad random, but good day or mind playing tricks. Mind playing tricks.
Mind playing tricks.
You know, and that's not the slight good day, but it just is what it is. Let's get to this
Yeah.
21 Savage thing because we could be on this all day. I love this topic because, you know, it's something that needs to be said.
Man, I can name 35 rap albums from the 90s better than Capital Punishment and Black on Both Sides. Stop that shit. Almost every Wu-Tang album that came out in the fucking 90s is better than those albums. Stop that.
The L Web 100 with the super chat says, the difference is Drake sings on records, Cole doesn't. Yes, he does. Drake makes catchy music for emo teens. He's not a lyricist. Wow, man. Most Def
Y'all are
sings
wild today.
too. Andre
Y'all are
sings
wild
too,
today.
and nobody has a problem with it.
Y'all are wild. Y'all
Esquire
are
with the
wild
super chat
today.
says,
You
"Oh,
don't know
and
what you're
Kendrick
talking about
sings
either.
too. Kendrick sings too. He got on the record."
Mike, he just doesn't sing well. He shouldn't, Mike, we shouldn't even count that. He doesn't sing well. He's not a good singer. He's barely a good rapper anymore. Stop that.
Esquire with the super chat says, "Kendrick, Cole, and Lupe are a part of his era. Does Jack Harlow fit as squarely into the hip hop category as Shay Noir or Love the Genius?" Well, see, Jack Harlow is in the Eminem category when it comes to how his music is placed. But I will give Jack Harlow this: he makes records that could be played in hip hop environments. Although some of those
Capital
records
punishment.
get crossed over because of who he is and who he caters to. Mad Max with the super chat says, if Ice Cube or Mos Def did blackface to highlight how the industry makes black artists play characters of black people, purists would say it's conscious. Well, I mean, look at the cover of The New Danger. Nobody had a problem with that. Not saying that Mos was in blackface, but he darkened his skin up. Mad Max with the super chat says, not just Andre, Mos, Dot, and Cole, Mike, Biggie sang on Life After Death too. You're right. So yeah, because of Player Hater, Life After Death is not a pure hip hop album either. Jesus, man, what are we doing, man? You guys are
Mike,
wild.
Puff Daddy's all in the family is better than Capital Punishment and Black on Both Sides. Stop that.
Are you talking
Stop
about
that.
No Way Out?
No Way Out. Whatever. All in the Family,
All
No
in
Way
the
Out.
Family.
Take that. I don't care what you call the motherfucking album. It's better than Capital Punishment and
No Way
Black
Out's a
on Both
classic.
Sides.
Yeah, No Way Out's a classic. Let's talk about
That's
the
a
21
classic,
Savage
Mike.
album because I got to get out of here in a second.
Are we doing a station head today? Are you taking this L? You taking another L? If you don't have time, it's okay.
Yeah, I don't have time today. I want to do it though. I really do. Maybe
Sure you do,
Wednesday.
Mike. Sure you do.
I want to do this one. I want to do this one.
You got Jay. Have fun.
Do you want to talk about this 21 thing real quick, or do you want to talk
I do.
about the beats? Okay.
I want to talk about the 21 thing. We can always get back to the beats.
Okay,
I
we
missed
can
some
always
beats
get
too,
back.
Mike. I'll tell you 2 beats that I missed just real quick, and I got to replace some tracks, and I don't know what I'm replacing. I missed mine playing tricks on me in deep cover.
Okay. All right. Well, it's a work in progress.
But I'm not perfect, but I know Capital Punishment and Black on Both Sides aren't a fucking classic. Go tell everybody in the metropolitan New York area that Coop said it. And I'm going to prove it. I'm going to pull up. No, I'm going to pull up. We're going to play these records.
What did you think about 21 Savage's American Dream album?
I thought the production was stellar.
Okay.
I thought that the Illmatic cover syndrome lives on with the baby picture on the front. It's fucking 30 years later, and still people are putting baby covers on the cover of their album. That's how transcendental that album is. I think his flow has not changed at all one bit, and neither has the rhetoric, Mike.
Yep.
I feel like the formula works because it's 2 to 3 minute songs with stellar production. But here's the thing. The sequencing on the album is awful, Mike. Like, I don't know if you've noticed, most of the time when I judge these albums, it's like, well, the music in a vacuum is good, but the sequencing fucking sucks, Mike. Like, tracks 11, 12, and 13 are all songs about girls, and they're all the same songs.
Yeah, I noticed that too. They were all in the back too, like,
and they're all in the
together.
back, and they're all like, you didn't break it up at all. And all them songs is soft as fuck after you doing all this I'm a big bad gangsta stick talk, and then all of a sudden you're a lover boy, a certified lover boy, like your homie Drake.
You heard the Drake influence in this album, right?
That's what you were talking about, Mike. Yeah. And it's like, no. I thought you was a gangster. You were saying stuff like, claim you a killer, but you still ain't caught a body yet. What body is this nigga ever caught to be talking this way? But that's neither here nor there. It's neither here nor there.
I took this album as entertainment.
Every time I've seen him in this city, he's had security with him. Why are you talking about these other niggas who haven't caught a body? It's like, you got security with you everywhere you go. Stop that. I say that respectfully. It's like, there's nothing wrong with having security when you get to a certain level, but you ain't about to pull up and be calling niggas pussy on your whole album and talking about how gangster you are when you roll with security damn near everywhere you go in this very city. Right? Right. Letter to My Brother is a great change of pace, Mike, because until you get to Letter to My Brother, it's just literally all Slaughter Gang,
Yeah.
Pussy, 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 Gang, 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 Stick Talk. The second verse on that song is the best verse on the album. Mike, the Metro and Thug record is underwhelming. And until Thug is free, I want them to stop using Thug's verses because I don't think
agree.
it's an accurate depiction of who Thug is as a guest artist. And I'm going to tell you what, even though the Thug verse is underwhelming, like all these verses really have been since he's been locked up, except for the Metro Spider record, because you know Metro got a lot of Thug's verses.
Right.
But all of the verses outside of Metro Spider have been underwhelming. But guess what, Mike? It's still better than 21's verse because 21's not that good a rapper. And he's not. And because here's what I mean. I said this, I did a station head with Hip Hop Talk, Sean and Adrielle, and with Fresh Out. And I said, I talked about it's like, well, I know we've elevated Nas because of this run with Hit Boy, but we also need to stop docking people because a 50-year-old guy shouldn't be the best MC in the game. Because hip hop is supposed to be a young man's sport or a younger man's sport. And this is the year that I'm not only digging through the quotes, but I'm requiring niggas to step their rap game up. And his flow and his delivery and his rhetoric has not changed one iota since he stepped into the game, Mike. Like It hasn't. And it's just a fact.
It's real. And you know what? In an album like this, when you take on themes and structure and call it the American Dream, and you have your mother doing the intro talking about the hardships of coming into this country for her son to have a better life, now the expectations are out for you to do more than just Slaughter Gang shit. But see what happened and what I heard from this album, with that intro and that build up and the rollout and the name of the album and everything, okay, that's to pull people into his story. But when it's time to tell the story, no, I'm just going to do what I've always been doing. And now you become an entertainer more so than an artist. An artist pulls you into their world, their life, their story. You try to let everything else do that. But when it came time for you to be an artist, you just were an entertainer. Those are some of the things that I've said about Pusha T's It's Almost Dry. Like, there was a moment there to say, you know what? Okay, well, this is the album. I'm going to show people that I can do more than just what they say I'm good at. But he leaned on what he was good at.
And he started off that album well with Brambleton, Mike. I was like, oh, Pusha T actually telling a story and a true story about his origins and about the breakup with Tony. I'm like, wonderful way to start this album. But Mike, then you're right. Then it goes into Let the Smoker Shine the Coupe, which is a brilliant record. And then it's like after that, it kind of like starts this process where it's like, oh, no, Pusha T album. Yeah. Got it. Good. But here's the thing about it. Pusha T got different flows.
Yeah.
And deliveries and cadences.
And he's skilled.
And vocal inflections.
Yeah.
He's a complete MC. It's his rhetoric that sometimes is not complete, but he's a complete MC. And so, and I mean this sincerely, the intro that his mom did set me up with a totally different expectation for the project, Mike.
Straight up. I agree with you.
Totally different expectation based on the intro. I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, this nigga's actually about to start telling us who he is after all these years of not knowing who he is, because it's all Slaughter Gang, slide on you pussy. And like literally, Mike, it's like right after the intro, it's like, no, that's all Slaughter Gang shit till track 6. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then it's more Slaughter Gang shit until you get to all the girly records that sound like the same record, and them records ain't good. The sequencing is bad. The message is confusing and misplaced. Red Sky is great, Mike. Red Sky, because, and here's another note that I had. Well, you see who he's not as a rapper when he's on a record with somebody else who can rap. Like a Dirk. Even Doja Cat, Mike.
I liked his last verse on the song with Dirk. But you're right about Doja Cat. And it's funny. Jay-Z went out there and was a lot in
Doja Cat smashed him.
Listen, I've been saying this on this show for like years, I feel like. And when Jay-Z went out there and was giving Doja Cat credit for her verse on the Clarence movie or whatever, people are like, oh yeah, Doja Cat can rhyme, this and that. I'm like, I've been saying this. Like, Doja Cat's probably one of the stronger mainstream rappers out there. Not to mention song makers.
No, she'll rap circles
around him.
She raps circles around him, Mike.
Yeah. It's not even a conversation.
And it's like, real talk, it's like, not being funny, you letting You getting bodied by a singer chick.
Yeah. A pop artist. Now, most stuff. Is Doja Cat
That's
pop?
a pop artist.
Esquire
She
with the super
bodied him,
chat.
Mike. She bodied him on that
Yeah.
record, and I love that record. But she
Yeah.
bodied him. She made that record. And
Esquire,
so,
hold on. Let me get to these super chats real quick. I'm gonna let you finish. I don't want to build up too much. Esquire with the super chat says, "Y'all are deliberately missing the point. Making non-hip hop record or two doesn't disqualify you. Do a pie chart of Drake's music. Hip hop is just a fraction of it." We want to pick
he
and
does
choose.
more rap.
Pick and
Hold on.
choose.
All respect due to Esquire. Drake does more rap songs than he does anything else, and it's always been that way.
He has more rap songs than most stuff does. It's the truth.
He probably has double the rap songs most stuff does. What do you mean?
Yeah.
Like
Even with all his singing shit, if you want to do a pie chart or whatever, let's see who made more rap songs. And the answer is Drake.
Listen, Mike. Listen to what I'm about to say. Let's see who's made more dope rap songs, because that's Drake too.
Esquire with the super chat says, two things can be true. One, Drake is undoubtedly a hip hop legend. Two, he is more of a hybrid genreless artist than a pure MC / hip hop artist. That was his plan.
I don't care how y'all feel.
Jay Short with
Y'all
the
think
super
Capital
chat
Punishment
says,
classic. Y'all don't know what y'all talking about.
Jay Short with the super chat says, 21 is the newest version of Fab. A lot of flash, but no substance or depth. Fab was just slicker and more witty about it.
Fab had different flows. It's the same exact flow on every record, Mike.
You're right. Melvin Wright with the super chat says, have you guys checked Jed Out, the Bodie / Craven album? Absolutely fire. Got to check that out too.
We gotta finish listening to the Cuddy, and we gotta listen to the Boldy Craven.
Yep. But yeah, what were you saying before jumped in with the super chats?
Oh, I mean, most of the same stuff that I was saying. It's just like the album's uneven, the production is stellar, his flow and his rhetoric hasn't changed at all. The intro of his mom and the album cover is a big letdown, Mike, because you're expecting him to actually talk about something. He's talking about nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Red Sky is a great record. Dark Days is a dope album closer. The message of this album is uneven, and here's the thing. It's like when we talk about, Drake and Future, like talking like 25-year-old dudes still in the club. Well, understand, like 21 Savage is still like 31, 32 talking about like murder, kill. And
right.
It's like, nigga, you're not killing nobody.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's
it's
great.
Like you ain't sliding on nobody. You probably ain't never slid on nobody. Like, let's just keep it like real. And like, this was his opportunity to like open himself up a little bit. I was hoping, and I'm not joking when I say this, I was hoping working with Drake would make him more vulnerable, but just made him make 3 corny ass pop songs about women in a row with the same flow.
Yeah.
The production carries this album. It's a dope album, Mike, but the production carries it. It's like, it's something that, the ATL in me is just going to ride to it, but it's like, it's the same flow, Mike.
It's, again, it made me look at the difference between an artist and an entertainer. And y'all want to talk about, or Mos Def wants to talk about Drake being a pop artist. These are the things that I would say aesthetically would make someone more of, I guess, a non-pure artist, because this isn't about the artistry. This isn't about the story. It's not about any of those things. This is just straight up about, I want to make some stuff that I'm good at and that people are going to bob their head to, but you framed it like this was going to be an artist's story. That's the problem. This is just another mixtape, pretty much. But you framed it like,
Mike.
Huh?
It's more false advertisement.
More? Mad Max with the super chat says Drake is more Fab than 21. Well, no, I mean, it said Mike loved the 21 album. I didn't say I loved the 21 album. I think I said I was conflicted in the story. And I felt, again, what I just said. It was entertainment. I took it as entertainment. And they advertised it like it was going to be something else. Play a couple of those songs, ride to a couple of those songs, like Coop said. But if we're going to really break this thing down, I can't really give it high marks for what it didn't do. and
Right.
the comfortability that it just leaned on. But again, these are reasons why people are talking down on podcasters like us, because we're holding the music to a higher regard and we're giving people real critiques. And if it's great, it's great. We're not just trying to down records just to down them. Just being honest.
So, Mike, I think we need to get back to having a more concise rating scale. And so I'm going to ask you, and I think we should use 4 things to rate it, and you tell me what else it should be.
Okay.
Actually. And I'm writing them down right now. What do you think about rating these albums this year and doing a combination of 5 categories: production, lyrics, content, flow/delivery, and impact?
Trying to think of what I was missing. I think production and cohesiveness and all that kind of comes together.
Executive production. Should we make a separate category for sequencing? Because I think that matters. Because what I see in a lot of these projects, Mike, is that even if it has the potential to be a great project, sequencing is killing a lot of the modern day project because there's not an A&R. If there are A&Rs, which Nick Love showed us there are still A&Rs, they're not in the building with some of these majors because they're just making their own decisions, it seems like.
Right. Okay. Well, sequencing needs to be in there then. I think that pretty much covers everything unless we think of something different, unless the people think of something different as well. But yeah, that's pretty much everything that an album needs to, the marks that an album needs to hit to be able to be rated properly.
Because production and sequencing go to the producers and executive producers. Lyrics, content, flow, and delivery go to the artist, and impact goes to the culture. So you cool with those 6 things?
I'm cool with those 6 things. I think we might need to create a metric where it's like, we rate those things on a scale from 1 to 10, and then we give them an overall score based on that. So we're not sitting here giving everything the same rating. You know what I mean? Where it's like, okay, well, this
Correct.
is a 4, and this is a 4, and this is a 4. Where I think we need a more robust rating scale when it comes to rating albums now. I think it's deeper than just the 5 mic thing.
Right. It's too hard. There's too many 3.5s to 4.25s running around this motherfucker.
Yeah, and we had to learn that based on trial and error. But yeah, I think that that's a good way for us to really start differentiating, you know, the men from the boys, basically, you know, for lack of a better term.
Are you sure there's nothing that we're missing? Because
someone
that would
said
make our scale out of
sequencing
6.
can go
Production,
with impact.
lyrics, content, flow/delivery, impact, sequencing.
Yeah, impact is really dicey because I don't know if that's fair to some of the independent acts, or like if a Shay Noir is dropping something that's quality, and the impact might not be where some of her counterparts are just based on their situation. You know what I mean?
I think impact is relative to what your following is.
Okay.
Not relative to the culture anymore, because I don't think that's fair on the multitude of scales that the artists exist on now.
So let's just say that Shay has impact on... I'm sorry, not to interrupt you, but go ahead.
No, I'm saying, how does this impact 21's fan base?
Right. I was going to say, let's just say Shay impacts the Grassroots or her fan base, and that's all people are talking about when it comes to that album. We could rate that as the same way as if Megan drops an album and she's on Good Morning America and all that stuff to promote. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because this is what I mean about impacting on your grassroots level. Shay was just on a local Buffalo station about some of her side ventures. You know what I'm saying? So she has impact, but we have to make the impact relative to who the artist is. Is like, so 21 is a pretty big artist in this space. How impactful is this album on a scale of 1 to 10?
Right.
Because I would tell you that if 10 is the litmus test, it's like I'm just giving this impact a 5.
Well, I got a slide. It's been a great show. Hit like and subscribe. I hate to cut you mid-sentence, but let's carry this on Wednesday.
No, Mike, we got to do these ratings right quick. Give me the production rating on your thought. It'll take 60 seconds. Production is what out of 10?
Because
Because we can just meet in the middle. Like, because I feel like whatever the rating should be is like wherever our numbers are, we'll just put it in the middle. So you tell me yours.
I'm thinking on a production level, I'm gonna give it an 8.
I'm with you on the 8. Lyrics,
That's a 6.
I'm at a 5, so that's a 5.5.
Okay.
Content's a 3 to me.
Okay. I'm with that.
The flow and delivery is at a 4 because it's
I think that's fair.
okay. Impact,
I think the impact's at around a 9. It's everywhere. Hold on.
I agree.
Hold on 1 second, Coop. Hello?
We just had one more, nigga. Mike Mister, who's been in there talking about capital punishment so much, I know my homework. My cousin Six play capital punishment all the time. It's a long album. It's a great album. It's not a classic rap album. It doesn't stand next to other classic rap albums from its era. I don't have to go like to 94. It's like I can bring up the stuff that got made in the back half of the 90s from 96 to 2000, and it doesn't measure up. It's a great album. It's not a classic album. Same thing with Black on Both Sides. Get over it.
Yeah, I got some service people here that I gotta
Not
attend.
negotiating.
Yeah.
I don't negotiate with terrorists, and I don't make concession speeches. Capital Punishment is a great album, not a classic album. Sequencing, Mike, I think the sequencing is just a 5 out of 10.
I'm fine
Because I
with
think
5.
it's one of the things that make hurt the album. So I'll do a post with the overall rating because this would be 6, so it would be out of 60.
Okay.
And so then I'll do a percentage point because maybe we'll start giving them actual test scores. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And I think this will work well.
Right. So 21 is the first test score of the year.
All right. Hit like and subscribe. We appreciate y'all. We're going to holler at y'all Wednesday.